What's happening, you burnouts? It's Friday, September 20th, and you're listening to episode 16 of The Jaking Off Show. The Jaking Off Show is brought to you by my fellow patrons over at patreon.com. Go to patreon.com/jakingoffshow and donate as little as $1 a month. All donations go towards making the podcast better, such as equipment, studio upkeep, and maybe a pastrami on rye. We have some show dates for you. This Sunday, September 22nd, I'm performing at Flappers in Burbank in the Yoo-Hoo Room at 7 p.m. Tickets are $10. I repeat, this Sunday, September 22nd, Flappers in Burbank, Yoo-Hoo Room, $10 tickets. But if you're broke and you're on that ramen and eggs diet, you can see me for free at the Springbok Bar and Grill in Van Nuys at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, September 25th. That's a free show. What have you got to lose? Remember to follow Jake L. Bassi on Instagram to stay up to date on live shows. My guest is musician Greg West. Important part about even doing this at all is fucking.
Do you want to sit on a cushion like a royal?
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, your narrow ass needs it.
It does. There's no cushion.
I've got a little.
You got a fucking
butt.
narrow ass too, motherfucker.
I do, but I
Shit.
have a little bit of a marshmallow butt. I have
okay,
the
fair.
little body fat that I do have. I do have it on here, but I'm learning something new every time I do this because it ain't shit now. But this is like number 16.
No, wow.
Number 16.
Shit.
More of them.
Sweet 16, baby.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have something down by 30 or 35 or 50.
Something down in what way?
Yeah, I don't even know because the original idea was to have it be a podcast and then like video and then have it be like a sketch show, but you need like an army for that kind of shit.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
You need an army, and
Yeah,
I don't want to
sure.
do that, and that takes too much time. That's too many. It's too many bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It's
If
too
you want to
much-
write sketches, and then eventually you'll have enough that you'll decide that they're worth, putting the effort into producing them. Then that's
Yeah.
one thing. But that's effort. That's
You're
a lot of
seeing
effort.
Tom Segura soon, aren't you?
Yeah, on Friday.
Dude, have you seen his podcast?
I have. Yeah, with his wife, it's really good.
I want to have like eventually sound bites because you know how he has.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
I want-
Yeah, his is kind of like a show in that, like, he does little thing. I saw the thing of him doing the black voice, and you have to guess if it's him doing the black voice or a black person. And I was like, when my friend was showing me, and and I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy to tell. Because I like Segura's black voice is like, hey, like it's always like this. It's good, but it's always the same thing. But dude, I was wrong. It was really difficult. I
Yeah.
could not fucking tell. And the people on his show were stressed out. They were like, dude, I don't know which one to pick. Like,
Right.
they both sound like black people. So yeah,
I wonder
was a
if he's
funny
gonna.
bit.
Have you seen his bit on how he talks about that show Scared Straight?
Oh yeah,
He starts out with just going bikes, like
oh, bikes. Yeah, that's a very famous.
bikes.
bit.
He would imitate the black dude that would like scream. That type
Tom
of shit on
Segura's
him.
black imitation is good in one-word pieces. Like, he's really good at shouting one word.
Well,
to
the
sound like a
volume.
black
Hey!
person. Yeah,
Come
yeah,
here.
He's really good at that.
Greg.
So hopefully I get
West.
some of that on Friday.
Oh, you will.
Is this counting toward the podcast right now?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Nice. All right.
and I will record a separate intro. I'm talking to a graphic artist person who's gonna have like a logo
Oh, nice.
and like a look. I described him what kind of look I want, and I'm gonna get sketches sent in, and it's slowed down definitely because I want to bring it out. I want to make it look better. I want like the package to be better.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
also, like, if you're gonna, I think you should eventually film it, because if you're gonna have sexy people like
Right.
us talking, you might
Yeah.
as well film it.
I did a test with one. My buddy has a camera, and I have a camera. We had the microphones attached to either camera, so we
Yeah.
got it all worked out. It took me
Yeah.
about 2 weeks to do
Yeah.
to like edit and put together.
It
'cause
does seem harder.
It's tedious.
Yeah. That's
I-
why, Rogan has Jamie to take care of all that shit.
Yeah.
It's good to have a guy, an auxiliary mixing, sound engineer guy.
Well, it's also getting it out quicker. That took me 2 weeks to edit,
right, sure.
and it's not even out.
But I feel like in real time on the Rogan podcast, Jamie, in real time, like, little is appreciated of the work that happens in real time, as far as he's going back and forth, whoever's talking. Like, that's 3 hours of, like, I'm sure he's on autopilot at this point.
Yeah.
But unless they have it preset so that the cameras trigger when someone talks, but I don't think they do that. I think he's going back and forth.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's 3 people talking, and he's like, that's work. Like, that's
It
someone,
is.
but they don't have to do that in post because he's doing it while it's happening.
He's doing it.
You know, so that's a luxury.
I don't think he's mixing live because I have noticed that the audio is like different for. I like religiously listen to the podcast,
Sure.
and there's little things that like I picked up on. Like you watch a movie 20 times, you'll go like, that coffee cup wasn't there before. And I would notice like I don't know if he's mixing live, but I have noticed that there is a key, a hotkey for the camera to switch.
Okay, yeah. That's what he's using a hotkey for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And eventually I'll get to that point, but you know, a long-term
Yeah,
goal,
one thing at a time.
Yeah, a long-term goal is like studio space,
Sure.
2 cameras.
Yeah.
And,
Well, hey, I'm not complaining, man. You came to my place, and I'm very comfortable. I'm wearing shorts.
Oh yeah,
I'm wearing some shorts. Unfortunately, your audience won't be able to see that.
that's okay.
But next time around.
You showed me you have a date later, and you showed me.
She canceled on me already.
Oh no!
Well, not canceled. She postponed. Yeah,
She
yeah.
postponed.
She's
Rain check.
she's a younger chick. I'm 31 and like mostly dating chicks in their 30s, but this chick's in her, let's say, she's not even 25. So that's a little younger than I usually date. And I feel like girls that young, like they're not professional yet, like in their lives. So like this is the second time this chick has flaked on me. Like, and we haven't even met yet. So like, to do 2 flakes, I feel like that's some shit I'm not used to dealing with.
Right.
But like I hit up my buddy and I was like, yo, this is annoying. He's like, dude, she's 24. Like that's what young girls are gonna do. They're
Probably looking for free food.
No. It's a cooler situation than that. She actually sent me a picture of her in her lingerie as an apology.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so she.
So to show like she was sorry, she's still serious.
So it's more of a reason and not an excuse then.
She had a reason. She had a reason. It was legitimate. I'm not going to go into details.
Right, we don't have to do that. Yeah.
But I was still annoyed. So as compensation, I think for me being annoyed,
right.
She sent the pic, and I thought that was nice.
And you showed me, and you were like, no homo, and you showed me a picture with your shirt off and all that. And you're wearing contacts right now, but and
I'm not. I'm just blind right now.
You're just blind right now.
Yeah.
Because when I first met you, I'm like, oh, this lanky, skinny, like geeky looking dude. But like underneath, like you're like Peter Parker, like geeky school nerd. But you're like you're jacked.
It's
for
a weird.
your size.
It's a weird thing because like it's a pretty useless thing to be like shredded but like kind of a nerdy dude because like no one really suspects it, nobody knows, and I don't go to pool parties,
right?
So it's basically like totally useless unless like someone gets me naked.
Well, that's the surprise.
Yeah, I guess it's a little hot surprise because I also don't send pictures like shirtless pictures. I feel like such a douche doing that.
Yeah, I don't
it's
feel.
It's just a douche move.
I've never been like. I'm not body confident, but I'm not like ashamed of what I look like.
Yeah.
But even so, like that's just not something.
Yeah.
It just feels like narcissistic and kind of like,
Yeah.
oh hey, look what you're missing out on.
But that's so part of the culture now.
Yeah.
Of like selfies and posting like I look so great, blah blah blah. Check out my shit.
Yeah.
That's like what everybody does now. So
I have one gym selfie.
But yeah, I have
one.
I have none posted. Actually, that's a lie. On my Tinder, one of my photos is at a pool, like flexing the 6-pack or whatever. But you have for Tinder, you have to. You have to show like I'm a fucking piece of meat. Check me out. Like But Tinder's an exception. Tinder's kind of hot fucking garbage anyway. But my Hinge has the same photo.
Hinges, I gotta get rid of that because I only have so much space on my phone.
Excuse me.
Oh shit, no, that's fine.
Very fucking.
No, that actually reminds me. I have to put my phone
Shut
on
these
vibrate too.
off.
God damn it, that's all good.
Yeah.
No, but like fucking, I only go through like one dating app at a time because.
Can I read the text I just got because it's actually really funny?
Sure, go.
My best friend sends me funny shit all day. He says, "Have you guys seen how fat Taylor Swift is now? So embarrassing." That's the text message I just got. That was very unsolicited.
Define fat, like.
I mean, I'm not gonna text him back. I mean, I will later. But,
Taylor Swift, she's never been fat.
She's never been fat, so
No.
I'm pretty curious what he's talking. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
Dude.
I've never seen her even remotely
That's ridiculous.
anything but super thin. I did see a billboard of Kelly Clarkson the other day, and man, she was blimping out, dude.
You know what's really fucked up is that it's a TV show, right? It's a TV network like
Right. But
talk show.
I think she got fat right after she won Idol, though.
Yeah.
I don't think she gave a fuck. She's getting that southern
as long-
cooking.
as
She
long-
don't give a shit.
Southern hospitality, you know,
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, no, she's living good. She's living.
Hey, as long as she's
fat,
happy.
high on the hog, getting fat. She'll probably get some good dick no matter what.
Yeah, dude,
she doesn't give a shit.
I would rather be fat and happy than like skinny and ugly and like miserable. You know.
I'd rather not be fat. But we don't have to. I don't want to be elitist and like make fun of fat people on your podcast.
Right. I don't
know?
care. I mean,
But I'm just like fucking.
you say what you say.
Yeah.
But this is the thing with I saw a billboard for that show, and it said unfiltered and all that. I'm like, of course it's fucking filtered.
It said unfiltered.
It said unfiltered talk show. I'm like, it's on the network, so like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a lie because
for sure.
because television has standards and practices. There's
Yeah,
just,
for sure.
There's just fucking words.
Maybe
you can't
it's
say.
relatively live. I mean, look, they can.
Yeah.
Advertising is a fucked up thing because you can say whatever the fuck you want. You can lie.
Yeah.
Like, advertisers can straight up lie, and it's actually like it's not even illegal to lie.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's just
so, yeah,
that's
they
not
can
what
say
I
whatever
wanted.
they want. I'm not going to watch this fucking Kelly Clarkson show. We say fuck. We could say fuck.
We could say fuck all day.
Yeah. So yeah,
Dave Chappelle talked
no
about
one I
it.
know is going to watch this Kelly Clarkson show. That's not in my wheelhouse of
Yeah,
things.
I don't know.
I cut cable fucking 4 years ago, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I rock the Netflix, and then I borrow Hulu and I borrow Amazon. Between those three, and then I borrow. I shouldn't say steal. I borrow HBO. So I pay for one of the four, but I've
Okay.
got Netflix, Hulu, HBO, and Amazon because those are the big four. I think.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you've got those. You've got like
Disney Plus is coming. That's another one.
Jesus. Well, yeah, but between those four, you get most of the streaming content, and if you have a big enough circle of friends, you can pay for one at like $10 a month and get all of them. So that's kind of I've been working that system for a while.
Yeah.
And it's good. I don't watch a ton of TV shows. I try not to.
Well, you can watch TV shows on Netflix and Hulu. Like you can catch
Right,
like,
that's what I mean.
cable
That's
shows.
what I
Like
mean.
what I don't know is like is cable gonna die now? Like what the fuck's gonna happen with
Oh,
that?
it's
Like,
for sure gonna die. It's just it's a matter of time. It's kind of similar to the music labels. Like music labels should have been dead like a decade ago.
oh,
because
what,
their
'cause of
main
Napster or
Yeah, absolutely. Because
streaming services?
yeah,
Yeah.
their main form of income was record sales, which they
Yeah.
haven't fucking had for like a good solid decade now.
Yeah.
But they found other ways. They made a backdoor deal with Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
so that fucked all the artists. So they're getting a huge chunk of the streaming revenue, which is why artist streaming revenue is so super low.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. And they just did kind of they did that crummy deal and a few other things just to kind of like figure it out. But like even Universal Republic, like they're the biggest record label.
Yeah.
They're carried by Universal. Like they're a part of a bigger umbrella company, and they're not even making money. Like they're just carried by the fact that they're part of a huge conglomerate that makes more money. But like point being, even the largest record label in the world, I don't even think they're profitable right now.
But
you
it's just it's the artist that's getting fucked over because they're putting in the work, and you have these non-creative types going
Yes.
like, "Oh, this is how it should be," or
Yes.
"This is how," and now it's like, what now? Merch?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well,
Like,
that's
there's
to-
other avenues, but
Yeah.
that'll cover the gas.
To some extent, that's always been the case as far as like big wigs like trying to tell artists what to do.
Yeah.
But with the squeeze happening as far as the record sales aren't there, it's just made things worse for the artists. And the business people, of course, they finagled a way to keep like a bigger chunk of the smaller pie. So the artists make even less. So a lot of the working musicians I know, and I know a few that don't have day jobs. Most of the money they make, they're either touring with big people and got a good gig doing that, which is great but doesn't last forever.
Right.
Like you're not going to tour when you're 65 with some other artists. I mean, you can, but like
Right.
is that what you want to be doing in your 60s? Like
Right.
And then the other main revenue stream is getting your music in commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
and like
jingles and stuff like
yeah,
that.
shit like
Yeah.
that. Which I know people that do that, and it's not super creatively satisfying unless you're just kind of like, I don't want to be negative and call those people tools, but like a lot of the way they work is they'll work for a publisher, and the publisher will know what they need for a commercial, and it'll be like very typically the last few years will be like, oh, we need something that sounds like the Black Keys, but we're not going to pay the Black Keys for their song because they're going to charge 30 grand for it. So
Yeah.
can you give me something that sounds like that? And basically what these people do is they'll make a little hook that's like almost just like it, but just enough not a ripoff that they won't get sued. Like that's the art form basically.
Yeah.
It's art form in quotes because it's not really an art form. It's just an imitation.
Yeah.
And you do that, and you'll get $3 to $5 grand for it. You know, they'll pay, so they're saving a lot of money. Instead of paying 30 to 50 grand to Black Keys, they're playing 10%.
Do you feel like that's because that's part of like the oversaturation of like there's a guitar player every 10 feet now.
Right.
There's a drummer every 10 feet.
Well,
now.
there's always
Like,
been a lot of guitar players. In fact, I think there's less good guitar players now.
less
Like,
good guitar players.
yeah, because guitar kind of being good at guitar became uncool in like the 90s with Kurt Cobain. You know, I feel like he started a trend, and not to knock Kurt Cobain, I
Right.
love Nirvana, but you know, being sloppy was like part of the charm.
Well,
of
yeah,
that.
the whole grunge thing was like
Yeah.
kind of dirty. Fucking,
Yeah, dirty, and like
garage
it
rock.
wasn't cool to be good at guitar at that time because he
Yeah.
wasn't good at it, and he was the coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, that's what punk was too. Is like, oh, let's play
Yeah, yeah.
play 3 chords and
Right.
and verse chorus. Like it's simplistic. You know.
yeah,
And to be
come out
bad
of
at
punk.
simplistic is
Right.
kind of like laughing at itself.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sort of trying to. Well, we haven't really talked much about music and stuff because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I have my first record coming out in a couple months here, and
Yeah.
it'll be on Spotify for everyone to hear under my name, Greg West.
And I don't. Okay, so you showed me 3 songs. You show off the new record.
Yes, sir.
One of them is called Space Girl.
yes, that's true.
Which, oh
I
my
did show you
fucking
Space Girl.
God.
So yeah,
It's so
I
funny.
did. So
Actually-
what? You know, let me ask you your opinion, because people, you know, one of the annoying things that happens when you have original music is people ask you, "Oh, what style of music?" And it's like it's a really annoying question to answer.
Yeah.
Or like, or who do you sound like? And you don't want to say
I sound like me.
Right. Exactly.
That's what you want to say.
know? And like, I don't know who to say. There's an artist that I think that I'm kind of in the vein of, and I'll say who it is just for the sake, pretending this is just a private conversation, even though it's not. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of John Mayer inspiration in what I do, but saying that instantly makes people go, "Oh, so you're lame."
Well, here's
And not to say that John Mayer's lame, but generally people that are influenced by John Mayer are lame. And I'm not even that influenced by him. I'm more influenced by the Beatles and like older stuff.
Yeah.
But being that I'm like also a songwriter, but also a blues guitar player,
Yeah.
that it's just it's just an easy comparison to make. But I also hate to make that comparison.
Right. So as someone who is a heavy metal enthusiast who
Yes.
likes Cookie Monster vocals and just fast and fast and just
Yeah.
aggressive and angry and it's just fucking.
I'm
like,
sorry,
it's
the
this-
lack of Cookie
it's-
Monster.
Right. It's not it's not what I listen to on the regular.
Right.
But what I do like about it is that it is that you know what your sound is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what you're doing and trying not to sound like someone else, because you said John Mayer, and
Yeah.
I listened to like older, like John Mayer in the early 2000s because my
Yeah.
mom was listening.
Yeah, the
to
really
him.
poppy stuff.
The poppy sounding
Yeah.
stuff. I don't.
No,
I don't
this doesn't
know-
sound like that at all.
It doesn't sound like that at all.
If anything, it's a
Um,
little bit more in the vein of like his Continuum, which is third record, which is a bit more bluesy
I can
and
see
stuff.
the influence, but you're not bleeding so much into that style where like you're just taking a little bit from all these other things and you're
Yeah.
making it your own.
Yeah.
Because in a way, that's kind of what rock and roll is. Because
Right.
rock and roll took from the blues.
Yeah, everybody took from everybody.
Everybody
else.
took from everybody
Led
else.
Zeppelin is known for stealing a lot of stuff from some.
A lot
older
of their
blues
hits are
guys.
fucking covers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
and it's accepted and it's fine. There was a good. Someone told me a good line when I was in music school. They told me that stealing, if you copy one thing, it's stealing. If
Mm-hmm.
you copy 100 things, it's research.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I like that, because if you really do your homework on it,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll just kind of learn through osmosis and kind of
Yeah.
develop your own style on top of something that's already been done. And that's what influence is.
But is
you
it
know?
stealing or parallel? In comedy, it's been referred to as parallel thinking, where it's not quite stealing, but it's because comedians will talk about a certain subject,
Yeah.
and a lot of the same punchlines will
Yeah. How many things can you say about farting and shitting before you get some overlap?
be right.
Assuming
so,
you're making those kind of jokes. Those are my type of jokes.
I don't think you're. I don't stealing. That's such because a band can cover a song.
Right.
A band can cover
obviously,
s-
no one's accusing them of stealing,
Right.
unless they're literally lying and saying I wrote this.
Yeah. Stealing is that's like Pete Best.
Well, Mencia though, Carlos Mencia, he
straight up
literally
stole.
stole. And I heard
Yeah.
that there's comedians that do like in France, they'll like learn Jerry Seinfeld like word for word, like
Yeah.
an hour of his material, but in French,
Mhm.
and then they'll just do it there and make money off of it as
Yeah.
if they're an artist, but really they're just a bilingual person that's just, stealing.
Yeah, it's such a hairy thing because I've caught myself in the cadence of comedians that I love and admire.
Right, right.
But to me, that's thinking I'm stealing their style.
Yes,
You know,
which I think is okay. I think
yeah.
you're borrowing. I think
Borrowing,
you're sort
yeah.
of borrowing a style until you find your own voice. Because for me, like I've been singing and writing songs since I was like 16 or 17. So
Mm-hmm.
like there were times like you're not good right away. Like you're just
Of
not.
course,
You
of
know.
course.
But eventually you develop a voice, and then you're just you. And it takes it takes at least 10 years to get there in my opinion.
I don't think
you know?
I don't think you're stealing anything or like you're trying to sound specifically. You're giving people an idea of what the music is without actually listening to it first.
So hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, my name is Greg West, and hopefully on Spotify there should be an 11-song album called "Hold Me Down." It's my debut album, and hopefully you guys
yeah.
could check that out. Just because talking about music is weird, if
Right.
you have no reference. So hopefully y'all can check it out, reference it, and hopefully you dig it.
And the songs that I did here, it takes me back in time, and the genre isn't my wheelhouse, but I like it because it takes you back in time to a genre of rock and roll that isn't done a lot
Yeah,
because
not so much.
it's kind of a throwback.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit throwbacky.
And it's not, but also at the same time, it's not fucking mandolins and like car jingles and
I
stuff.
do have one track with mandolins that I didn't show you.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay.
That's one track.
That's just one.
It's just one. It's not the whole.
The way I kind of went
thing.
on this record was because nowadays it's very much a singles world in music. Like people don't have the attention span
Oh,
to
of course.
consume 10 songs at a time. So the way I kind of went about this record was we just did each track as its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as you heard, just with the three you heard
Yeah.
one that had some country influence.
Yeah.
Right, like country, but
And
like
one-
newish.
and one that was kind of sad. Someone hurt you.
Yeah.
You have a ballad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a 6/8 doo-wop thing, 50s
Yeah.
Beach Boys influence, right?
Yeah.
And then another that's like a piano honky-tonk thing with a bunch of like blues grooves on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every song, like that's how the whole record is.
Yeah.
There's different stuff on it.
You could take it, go back in time, and have someone listen to it and go, "Oh, who is this? Is this person out now?"
Right.
And then you tell them, "Oh, this song is from the future." They'll freak out. They'll go, "What?"
Yeah.
Or if you went back in time,
They'll be like, "Oh, they're still making the
still
same
making
kind
this
of
type
music."
of stuff.
But generally
Yeah.
they'd be wrong. But no, so the album like it's a full production, and I hired this drummer Lamar Carter played on it. And
Mm-hmm.
He's a real badass. He's actually playing like the Church of Kanye now, which I didn't even,
Church of
I didn't know that was a
Kanye?
thing, but I guess like Kanye has some fucking weird worshipy church thing that he does. You could go on YouTube and look it up, or not.
Is it like a religious type of thing, or is it like
honestly don't I like checked it out for a second? I was like, I don't know.
The Church
I'm
of
not
Kanye.
he's talented
Uh-huh.
enough that Kanye is like, hey, this guy can drum. So,
Excellent.
So he's a total badass. Lamar Carter, shout out. And I got a great piano player that did a bunch of, he did lots of organs and B3s, and he did some Mellotron, which is like some Beatlesy type old school shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some really, really, really good players on it. I got a good producer, and this was like kind of my life's work at the moment. That's what I'm putting all my energy into and stuff.
would you find it difficult because there's pianos and organs and stuff like you said?
Yeah.
And when I saw you at the Federal, it was just a band.
Yes.
Now, when you want to do future shows,
Yes.
do you want the full?
I'd love to
you
have
want
a
get
five
you want to
piece.
get the full sound
Yeah,
of
so
what
I've
the
been-
record
yeah.
is going to sound like. You want to present
Yeah.
that as such.
That
right?
would be great.
Yeah.
It's I've been playing with a 4-piece, which is like guitar, bass, drums, and I'm singing and playing electric guitar, and then I've got another guy playing guitar
Mm-hmm.
and singing some harmonies, and the bass player's harmonies. So we got 3-part harmonies, 2 electric guitars, which is great. It's a full sound.
Yeah.
It's a pretty full sound, but the record has a lot of pianos on it.
Yeah.
And it would be dope to have a 5-piece band and have a guy that could do some organs and some piano sounds. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Right, right.
That's the main thing. I take care of my bands when we play. Like, if I have a 4-piece band
Mm-hmm.
and we make $300, I'm paying each of them $100 and I'm taking nothing. Like, that's just in I'm not even trying to be like I'm altruistic or anything.
That's how it starts.
I've been a sideman. I've done that for years and I still do it. And that's how it should go. The artist, quote unquote, it's the onus is on them to pay their musicians, because if any of those songs become hits or do well, the artist is making all of that money. They
Yeah.
wrote the songs. So the musicians playing with them, in my view, they deserve the bulk of the pay if you're early on. Now, obviously, if you're an in-demand artist that's putting asses in seats and you're making 10 grand a night,
Yeah.
obviously you don't have to pay your band all the money and you're not going to.
Right.
That's
Is that different from
not
just a
how-
session player? Like just someone who just works on the record but doesn't play with you?
Yeah, so
Live?
session people are paid well, and they're paid just like based on like if they're doing a day's worth of work. Like good session players, it's expensive. Making a record is expensive. Like
Yeah.
you know, if I bring in a pro for a full like 8 to 10 hour day, they're making $1,000.
Damn.
Yeah, so like all my savings went into this.
That's out of you.
Yeah, that's coming straight out of me. Yeah.
And it's I don't even think.
But
it's
sorry,
altruistic. Yeah, no, you're fine.
But they're not going to they're not getting points on the record, right?
Yeah.
So like if I make a hit song, they're getting paid that $1,000 and that's it. They're not seeing a dime like hereafter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like the guys who played, for example, on Michael Jackson's Thriller album, the band Toto, famously Africa
yeah.
which has become like a cult song now. Their guitarist, Steve Lukather, Jeff Porcaro, their drummer, and I think Steve Porcaro, the keyboard player of Toto. Those three guys, I'm pretty sure, they were all doing session work, and they were all on Michael Jackson Thriller, right?
And they're not getting a cent.
Yeah,
of,
they got paid well there. Like they probably got a couple grand a
When
day.
they got it, yeah,
You know,
when
they
they
were
did the
probably
work.
doing blow and having a good old time while they were doing it. But as far as like, did they make millions on the back end? No, they made nothing on the back end.
No,
Like,
because
they-
the record made money and people bought it, but they didn't get a piece of that.
yeah, because
they-
Michael Jackson took the writing credit for that.
Right.
There's some fucked up stories of Michael Jackson taking credit for stuff he didn't
He
write.
took the fucking Beatles catalog, right?
Well, he bought the Beatles.
He bought the
catalog.
Beatles.
There was
That's
nothing.
so fucked up.
Well, what's fucked up? It's not so fucked up that Michael Jackson did that. It's more fucked up that back in the day, people signed publishing agreements that were really fucked up. So when the Beatles started, they signed a publishing deal that wasn't good. Like you wouldn't do that
Yeah.
now. You wouldn't give away your soul. Essentially, that's what you're doing. But back then, that was normal. But back then, yeah, they signed an agreement where like they don't own what they're writing.
Yeah.
BMI, their original label, BMI owned the rights to their songs in for recording their songs. That's how it worked. So nowadays, like what I'm doing and what independent artists are doing, I'm paying all the money up front on the front end so that I own the masters and I own the rights and the writing.
Yeah, and-
So I own everything. So anything that good on the back end, I'm getting 100% of that. Although that being said, my producer Travis Carlson, shout out, he hooked me up. He's been such a fucking awesome bro on this, as far as like doing it for less than he should have and could have. So if things go well, then I'm gonna throw him some bones and stuff. As far
You're
as
making the sacrifice of being independent and staying that way until
Yeah.
something better comes along.
yeah, I mean
You
that
know.
being said, I'm gonna shop the album to labels and stuff, and if I can
Yeah.
get on a label for the second record, that would be cool because that would be less depending on the deal, of course.
Right, yeah.
A little background with me, I signed a record deal when I was 19 with an independent label.
Was that Billy Boy?
Yeah, that was
Huh.
a band called Billy Boy on Poison. You guys can check it out on Spotify. We did one record called Drama Junkie Queen, and
I haven't heard any of that.
You haven't heard any of it?
I don't think I have. You only
Holy shit.
Well, you only told me about it, and that was also like kind of your 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, because you got to
Yeah.
tour, you got to travel
Yeah.
to England, and
It was very cool,
and
man.
share a big stage.
Yeah, we were lucky. We actually our first touring, we got to open for Stone Temple Pilots.
Fuck.
When they first did their reunion, so they hadn't played in 10 years. Scott Weiland was still alive, obviously.
Yeah.
This is circa 2008 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So we were lucky enough. Someone told them about us, and the two brothers in the Stone Temple Pilots, the bass player and drummer, the DeLeo brothers, and they wrote most of those songs, or all of the songs actually. They came to see us at the Roxy, and they just loved us. And they like asked us after the show, like, "Hey, we're gonna get back together.
Do you wanna be
guys
the
want to
opening
be the
act?"
opener?" If we were
Fuck.
like, "Fuck yeah!" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like probably 20 or 21. Like I was, we were a really really fucking good band,
Yeah.
but like also lucky at the same time.
You're also young and you haven't like suffered enough.
No,
yet,
we
you
haven't
know?
suffered at all. Like,
He's like, oh, this is how it happens. Okay.
yeah,
like-
yeah, exactly. No, I knew I was lucky, and the drummer, Jess, who's one of my best friends still. We were a couple years older than everyone else in the band, even at like a young age. The other kids were teenagers, and yeah, we knew we were lucky. But
Oh, was
like,
that hard? Like being older
Yes.
and they weren't 21.
Yes.
Like they couldn't fucking hang out after the
it
show
wasn't
or
even so
some
much
shit.
that. Like, we generally didn't have issues with that, with hanging out in clubs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just yeah, like, hanging out with younger people that are teenagers when you're 21. Fortunately, like Jess, who was the drummer of Billy Boy, she's a month older than me, so like her and I really stuck together just because yeah, we were like brother and sister basically. Like, she's awesome, and it was if it weren't for her, I don't think mentally I could have even fucking stuck around in that band.
You got lucky in the sense that you got to see what it was like to be in the spotlight, but it could also be so fickle and it could be taken away
Yes.
from you so quickly.
Absolutely.
You know.
I mean, like, we were.
You don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I did have my eggs in that basket for
Yeah.
sure, because sometimes you don't really have an option, like, especially with a band like that. It's like, hey, are you going to commit to this or not? And so, like, I forewent like getting a 4-year music degree, which in retrospect was a good idea, because like,
Where'd you get it?
well, I went to Musicians Institute.
Oh,
yeah,
MI.
and that's
You went
like
to
on the
MI.
DL. Like, there's this weird thing with like, it's not cool to talk about music school and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
the same with theater and acting. Like,
yeah,
I went to a
like, it's
performing
not.
arts college.
There's
and-
nothing rock and roll about going to music school.
Right.
That being said, I got an associate's and I went to MI for 2 years, and I actually ended up working there for a couple years after.
Yeah.
And I had an awesome experience there. Like, the teachers there were amazing, and I learned stuff I never would have learned otherwise, and like, invaluable.
Yeah.
Even with the student debt that came out of it, still worth it.
Well, there's
you know?
there's the fun part, which is performance and writing the songs and like
Yeah.
entertaining people. But
Yeah.
but what the school is also teaching you, I hope for it did for you as it did for me in acting school, is the not fun part, the marketing, the promoting, like
Sure.
just the kind of like behind the curtain kind
Yeah.
of shit that goes
Yeah.
into it.
I
Like,
still hate that shit.
recording. I was in a band for 5 minutes and we recorded like a 4-track EP, and it was really fun and all that. But it was just. The recording wasn't as fun for me so much as I just want to perform for people.
Yeah,
Like,
and,
that's all
and
I
also
wanna do.
like, the recording process is a tedious one.
It is, yeah.
And it's also it's not easy. Like, I kind of came up for a while wanting to be a studio guitar player.
Yeah.
And so you hone your craft and you get really proficient. And so, and even in the studio, like these days, like even tracking guitar, like nailing a take all the way through, it's hard.
Yeah.
And then there's singing. Like singing, like basically singing in the studio into like a nice condenser microphone that's picking up every little tiny nook and cranny of what you're
Yeah.
singing. Like, it's basically putting under a microscope like something, and you can sing a song for a couple of years and not even just live and doing it live. And then when you go in the studio into a nice condenser, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, holy shit.
Claustrophobic, you're in a fucking closet
Yeah,
and shit.
and it's
different.
and it's showing you every tiny little mistake that you might have been making and not even realizing it.
Yeah.
And what's fucked up is like, if
The
you
smallest of cracks.
Yeah, and what's weird
Yeah.
is you can actually practice to do something wrong, because that's the beauty of listening back to yourself. Same with comedy. Like, you have to listen back to hear what you're fucking up.
Every
you know?
and how many times did I say
Yeah,
fuck? And
right.
I'll listen back and go, oh
Yeah.
wow, I'm too vulgar.
Yeah.
Not because of the joke, but because I said fuck too much and it lost its power.
You're right. Yeah, sure.
You know, my closet, I did it ghetto style. I would duct tape eggshells, not eggshells, eggshell cartons, and that was like
Soundproofing?
soundproofing,
Yeah, sure.
like ghetto and shit like that. And
Yeah,
and
man,
I
yeah.
and I and it was like, oh, this is really quiet and intimate.
Yeah.
Do I want to like? It's different from like doing it in front of people, because
Yeah.
you're not just fucking singing the song just for singing it. Like, you're singing it like you're conveying the emotion out to people who are there to see you. You're putting
Yeah.
on a show.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, there's
And then in the
there's
studio,
more than one element.
Yeah.
Studio, it's compact and it's
Yeah, and it's like
different.
into like get into a zone when you're in like a room with 4 walls around you. and someone watching you, and it's like to convey emotion in that setting, you kind of have to. It's probably similar to acting, where like they're just like action, and then all of a sudden you have to like be this character and stuff.
Yeah.
Because what if you're having a shit day and you got to go to the studio? Like you got to fucking deliver, man.
And
you're
the one
paying
you're
people.
recording, the one you're recording is like, oh, this is the happy one, but I'm sad.
Yeah. You better fucking pinch yourself, pinch your nuts. Like I knew a
Yeah.
producer that literally told dudes, squeeze your fucking, if you're not getting the take right, you're pitchy, whatever, squeeze your balls while you're singing.
Whole hand or
Whole
just
hand, just
pinch?
take your
Never.
hand and
Oh.
squeeze your balls while you're singing,
Ah.
and something about it like just makes you focus. I tried it a couple times. It's not for me, but I did see him get results.
Yeah. I
I
put
thought
a
that
rock
was
in my
interesting.
shoe.
Put a rock in your
I would
shoe.
I would put a rock in my shoe and like on my toe, and I
just
would
dig into
I would
it?
just dig my
Sure.
flesh into the
Yeah.
rock. Where it
Whatever
hurts
gets
and
you,
shit.
it's like
Yeah.
McConaughey beating his chest in
Wolf of
Wolf
Wall
of Wall Street. Yeah, whatever fucking gets you in
Whatever
that
works.
zone, because sometimes you better be there. The red light's on.
Have you seen the clip of Jack Nicholson getting ready for the scene in The
Oh,
Shining where
fuck
he like
yeah.
puts the axe through the door and all
yeah,
that?
dude.
He's like
To jumping up and
jumping up
down
and down
and-
and all that. He's
yeah.
getting ready. He's like doing
Yeah.
he's doing fucking psycho
Well,
shit.
he's
and-
got to do that because Kubrick was busy physically and mentally abusing what's her name.
Oh, the other girl.
Yeah,
I don't know her
yeah.
name. Sally something. I don't know the actor's name, but
It'll
she's
come to me.
she is terrified.
Well,
in
that so like
fucking,
that like basically kind of like she spiraled mentally out of control after that film process because of what Kubrick, like he broke her down mentally.
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. That's her
Yeah.
name. Yeah,
it's kind of become like a thing people talk about.
Well, yeah,
It's
when
very
you-
sad what happened.
when you put your all into something creatively, like
Yeah.
you're vulnerable, and it's not always comfortable.
Right, but the process for Kubrick
Yeah.
of getting her where he wanted her to be was like berating her mentally, and like it's kind of fucked
And
up.
now it's like I'm in one of the best movies ever made.
Right, she is,
You know,
but
at
at the
what
same
cost,
time,
yeah.
at what cost? Like the rest of her career floundered because she was like so broken down from that.
Yeah. Do you ever
But,
overthink your future in music? Like, do you ever overthink? Like, it's useless and it's a waste of mental energy.
It's a useless waste of mental energy for sure because
Yeah.
because I like definitely try to live in the now.
Yeah.
Because it's like all you can do is just work hard.
Yeah.
And just do the. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but like do the best you can, be as good as you can now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to think like, shit, what am I going to be doing when I'm 40 or whatever with music?
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm not really trying to think that. I'm trying to think like, now is the time.
Yeah.
I'm like just write as much as you can, be as creative as you can, and live as much as you can now, so that you're not looking back when you're 40 or 50 or 60 being regretful. Because honestly, like
Yeah.
I don't think that's any way to live. Like
Right.
thinking, look, obviously you want to plan for the future,
Right.
but working hard in the now, to
Uh-huh.
me, that's the best way to plan for a future,
'Cause
right?
You hear the stories about like burnouts. They're like, oh, I was on tour in the
Yeah.
80s and I was on the road
Yeah.
for a long time and now I'm here.
Me and my friend had this joke. Toured with Winger, man. Back in
Mm-hmm. Winger?
'79.
Winger.
You know what? Yeah, heard of Winger? Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
oh,
big
my-
time, man. Because I met people in the South, man, that
Oh,
say shit
dude.
like that. You know what I mean?
When you
Or like, you know the Nuge? Oh, yeah. We toured with the Nuge back in '78.
and they were like a local band that was in
yeah,
town
they're just
during
like,
that
yeah.
time or whatever.
Or they'll be
Oh,
like,
my
my brother toured with the Nuge, you know?
Oh,
and it's
shit.
like, come on, man.
my mom.
Sorry, I don't know if that's funny at all.
no,
It's
no,
just-
it's-
when you're in the South and you're in a tour van, like
No, it's
you're
funny
you're
to
gonna
me.
fucking you're gonna imitate the locals.
It's funny to me because my mom did that when she was young. She was in like a bluegrass band, and
That's fun. What did
that's-
she play? The washboard?
Dude, my mom played she played multiple instruments at different shows. So a lot of the bands would switch.
Sure.
So they're all like Renaissance people in the same band. So
Wow.
my mom played the upright bass.
Uh-huh.
She played the mandolin, the triangle,
Okay.
and
Less
the-
impressive than the first two.
Less impressive, but it's like, hey,
Yeah, no. I mean, being good at upright bass
And-
is not an easy task.
yeah, it's whew, fuck, man.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, and she played.
You don't see a lot of chicks playing upright bass.
Nope, not back then.
Come to think of it.
Not back then. No, but
Yeah.
my mom wasn't like other chicks. She was.
Yeah. She had a dick.
No, she's hardcore. I promised
Sorry,
her,
people.
No, I actually promised my mother that I wouldn't talk about her too much, but in
Okay.
relation...
And then I
but-
just said she had a dick. So
Right, no, it's all jokes.
So we're doing great.
No, because
Sorry, Mom.
it pertains to what we were talking about, because it's funny to me because we were talking about that you bump into people in the South that like, oh, I toured with the Nuge and shit. Like my mom
Yeah.
played bluegrass music in those areas.
Yeah.
and she played with not the Dead, but like people who would open for them.
Sure,
like,
that's cool, man.
Hippie stuff, and
Nice.
she was like on the she was behind the curtain as well. She was a sound engineer for 30
Right,
years, so
yeah.
she's well versed in the post production side of things and like making a record and like doing all that. And this was like all in the analog days,
Yeah.
and all that shit.
Cutting tape and shit.
And when it switched to digital, she's like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. It was a big change.
And it's changing again.
In what way?
And like it's all digital now. Like people are like people are learning how to do this as a career
Yeah.
in such a different way. Where I feel like because you're playing music that's from back then. I don't
Yes.
know, but it's just you can't do stuff that's now than without knowing than what's before. Like to appreciate the style. Like filmmakers would watch old movies,
Right.
and listen to those or
Yeah.
watch those and find out like how they did stuff back then.
Yeah. I feel like music, not to get dark on it, but like pop music these days is exactly that. It's music being made by people that don't have an appreciation for back when pop music was really good.
Right.
And so like the influences are often in the wrong places, you know, or yeah.
And good music has also come from like suffering and like
Right,
painful
right.
shit too.
Yeah, so
And,
when you've
yeah,
got like, you know, labels just propping up like teenagers and shit that just like look good on Instagram.
that don't know who they are yet as people, and they
No.
get thrown into that career, and
Right.
it's like, you go
And it's
crazy.
like, yeah, and then they throw some songwriters at you and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
everybody knows it's prepackaged and fake. Like people
Yeah.
just sniff it out, and we're in this weird time where like real, like, you know, cultivated artists that have like suffered and worked on it, like
Grit.
You're like,
Going through
you're
it.
not.
You just-
We're not getting a lot of artists like that. You know, even like rock and roll bands. Like, what's the last like stadium rock and roll band that like came out recently?
Recently?
that can play stadiums.
Oh God, recently, but that's going back far. I would fucking. I don't know why the Foo Fighters comes to mind.
Sure, the Foo Fighters is a good example, and they've
Yeah.
been around since the fucking 90s.
Right.
Since
There's
like
no
the mid 90s.
not in the. I can't think of any band in the last 10 years
There's probably
that came out of a
isn't one.
garage.
Yeah,
Or
me
that,
neither.
Or that came out of like
I can't think of one either. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like there aren't any.
Yeah.
You know, the last big like stadium rock bands, maybe Muse, but Muse has been around since
Muse
the
has
late
been around
90s.
for a while, yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age, but they came around early 2000s.
whatever the fuck Jack White's doing.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, yeah, the White Stripes, but also late 90s. White Stripes, their first album.
Yeah, that's still 20 years ago.
Maybe Arctic Monkeys, early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going back 20 years now. So, like, in the last 10 years, my point being, like, there's no fucking new rock bands. Well, you
Yeah.
got that fake Zeppelin cover band now.
That it's fucking. I don't even know their fucking names.
Yeah, everyone knows
it's
who I'm
not.
talking
It's
about.
not. It's not. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Greta
Yeah,
Van
Van
Fleet
or whatever
Fleet
the
or
fuck.
Fleek.
Fleek. I
Greta
don't know.
Greta on Fleek.
I don't even. Is that something the kids are saying now?
It's not. The On Fleek died.
On Fleek was like
is
very
begun.
2011.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's
cover bands,
the
that's-
best you've got is a band that didn't even cultivate their own sound. They had to steal Led Zeppelin sound, and they're like the biggest rock band now. You know,
That's such a
ish.
shame.
Actually, Tame Impala was really good, but I don't know if they ever got to like. They probably got to like headlining.
I
the
first
Hollywood-
heard them on a
Hollywood Bowl.
video game, so
Yeah.
that means that they got somewhere.
Yeah, no. Tame Impala is you know big shit, no doubt. But
Yeah.
whether they are going to stand the test of time as far as like they have new stuff out that's not very good.
Right.
So, not to be
Hey, there's bands.
shit. Am
that
I
have-
not supposed to get dark on people on podcasts?
No,
I think I shouldn't. Just because like as a musician, like you shouldn't talk shit like in
Right.
public. Like I know all musicians are talking shit about different artists like behind closed doors, but as far as
yeah.
advertising their shit talk, it's not a good idea. All respect
Right.
to Tame Impala, they've accomplished a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
My brother's band and I, we had a situation where there was a record label looking at us and looking to sign us, and we were like, okay, let's read the details first. And my mom stepped in because we're 21 and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Is that my mom was like, look for the word expense and how many times that is said in the contract.
Yeah.
Sure, you get signed to a label and all that, but then there's is gas covered? Is hotels covered?
Most
There's all these
likely,
things,
most likely,
merch,
everything is
shit like
everything is going to be recoupable, which means that whatever they pay for, you're going to owe them that money.
Right.
So if they spend 20 grand recording your record,
Also, we own your logo and
yeah, right,
stuff
and
like
they
that.
can also make a deal so that a common one was like a 360 deal, which meant that they owned 50% of the merch that you sold.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, you're fucking printing shirts with your name on it, like, and they're getting half of that money, so they're owning half of you.
and you're not
on
making
top-
money on the music.
Yeah, on top of the fact that
Yeah.
they're gonna make your record recoupable, so that they're gonna make all that money back, and then probably own 50% after that. So 360 deals, even though they were common, that was like a desperation sign.
Yeah.
Like if you were an artist signing that deal, like you just couldn't get anything better, and you thought it was cool to be on a label, and that's what you did, and that's probably
Yeah.
still a thing. I haven't been in the shopping for labels situation for a
It
while.
makes being
just 'cause
independent sound easier.
it just definitely does
Just not
make it sound more
dealing with
enticing.
the bullshit and the drama and the
The-
bureaucracy of it. Like
The-
that's annoying
yeah.
and like the not fun part of the business at all. It's just
absolutely.
the other people that want to put in their 2 cents
Yeah.
and they're not in the band.
If you're if you're an independent artist that's like a bit more successful or whatever, I think that the main things I've heard that's important to have is a good booking agent, because they're going to get you good touring spots, and a powerful manager, because they
Yeah.
have the connections that you need to get you on your TV shows and spots like that. So if you have those two things, you could almost get away with not having a label, and just independently distribute, So, and I know a lot of bigger artists that followed that formula and did well, because like I said, labels is kind of a dying.
Because of
thing.
course you want to be successful in this and you want to make a living off of it.
Yes.
But you also have to stay realistic and honest with yourself. It's like, yeah, I can make a living and on this and do well at it, but it's not going to be fucking like Ferraris and like.
No,
you
I mean,
you ever
that's
find
not
yourself like when you made the decision to do music? When was that? When did you pick up a guitar? 13, 14?
I was 10 when I started playing guitar.
So like, did you have that fantasy in your head like, oh, I'm going to be this big rock star and I'm going to have millions of dollars in all the cars? Like, did you think of that going into the idea of
I
it?
don't know if I ever thought about that,
Because a lot of people think about like fame and fortune
Yeah.
first before the craft, and go like,
Right.
"Oh, I want to,
No,
I
man,
want to do
like,
this because I want my name." In
I
lights."
wanted to play like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix. That was
Ugh.
that was when I was like between the age of like 10 and 15.
10, dude, fuck.
That was my goal. And then kind of Jeff Beck, I started like obsessing over him for a few years. And that was it, man. I just wanted to be, honestly, I wanted to be a great guitar player. That was like that was my goal for my whole like youth.
Was that playing in the house when you were
I
you were a kid?
started playing at blues clubs. There was a club called Cozy's in Sherman Oaks, at Hazeltine and Ventura Boulevard. Cozy's. And,
Cozy's.
every Monday night they had a blues jam, and my stepdad took
That's
me
where
there.
the new Ralph's is. Or-
Across the street, there's a gastro pub there called the Local Peasant. That's
I've been to the local.
okay.
peasant,
So
yeah.
that used to be a fucking awesome blues club, like down home, dirty.
the local
fucking-
peasant was Cozy's.
yes.
Okay,
Correct.
all right.
For years. And Monday night they had a blues jam, and my stepdad took me when I was 14 or 15 for the first time, and that was when I started playing on stage, and I went fucking every week and like knew everybody there, and I was like the teenage white kid that played blues on stage with
Fuck
people.
yeah.
And it was cool. There was and sometimes like well-known people would show up, and I'd get to play with like people that were professional acts and whatnot, and it was really cool. That was where I learned to play on stage and to play with bands and stuff.
You really got to see it like from like an environment kind of case. Like this is cool. I want to do this.
Absolutely. It was real shit, man. Like there's not a lot of places like that now. Like there was a couple dudes that were like from Chicago, like older black dudes that wear a suit and like a gold harmonica on a chain and like wearing a bunch of jewelry and shit. Like, and I get to play with those motherfuckers, and it was like, damn, man, this is cool shit.
You get a little bit of their flavor.
And once they realize that you can play, they're respectful and cool. And
Yeah.
you get hooked up in that scene. At first everyone's like sketchy because you're like, who's this fucking white dude?
Yeah.
This fucking
Selling
whatever,
drugs
this
out of a van.
white surfer boy trying to play blues. But then they're like, oh shit, okay, this dude can play.
play,
And then
he can play.
people are super cool. So yeah, that was awesome, man.
That's why I'm
It was
so
sad when they
glad.
closed. I think I was like 19 or 20 when they closed Cozy's down. So I got a few good years out of that.
Damn.
And they tried to open. There's a place now in Tarzana. I can't think of Maui Sugar Mill. That's kind of the new spot. It's in a strip mall, but it's just a fun bar.
Yeah.
And that's like the new blues spot. But I haven't really been in that scene in a few years. But it was cool to learn that way. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, my brother he saw him Slash in a fucking Volkswagen commercial, and that's how he wanted to play guitar. And he wanted to.
Well, that's his,
Right,
he's got things in the right place.
He
so.
wanted to learn electric first, and my mom, who
Well, that's fine, so
who
did
is
I.
of this is like, it's like, you're gonna learn the blues first.
You can learn
before
blues
you-
on electric.
Yeah, but it's just like you're gonna get an acoustic and you're gonna learn how to play the guitar first.
Yeah.
Because with him, he got enamored with the lights, the glory, the fascination of it. Like, oh,
Sure, I guess
be-
that's a thing, man.
I want to be that.
I never thought about it.
Yeah.
I had a really early obsession with Jimi Hendrix, like when
That's
I
what was
like
playing
9
in
or
the
10,
house.
and then Stevie Ray Vaughan quickly like took over as like I remember when I first got like Morpheus. Do you remember Morpheus?
Morpheus.
It was like post Napster, remember Kaza or Kazaa?
I don't.
You might be
I
you might be a
remember-
little younger than me for this.
I remember Napster.
What was your first downloading shit?
Oh,
Before pre BitTorrent.
pre-BitTorrent.
Yeah. What did you use to download shit pre
I remember Napster vaguely, but
Okay.
that wasn't happening in my mom's house. I would listen to that kind of shit was happening at friends' houses. My
Sure.
mom would play records like Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Like this stuff was playing in the house
Yeah.
very loudly, and we always loved it.
So to
LimeWire.
to listeners in their 30s, Morpheus or Kaza or Kazaa, I don't know, I've heard it said both ways. That was like how I was downloading videos. So I started downloading videos of Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and like being able to. I remember when I was about 13, and I remember it was the first time I could see their hands doing what they're doing, because at first I had this kind of like this idea that they were like otherworldly and that they were doing things that were like of the impossible.
Yeah.
And then once you're able to see their hands do it, you're like, oh shit! Like anyone knows when they see a really good musician, their hands is very relaxed.
You're studying them.
It doesn't, yeah,
Yeah.
but they're really great players. Like it doesn't actually look like they're working that hard because they're not, because they're really smooth and good at what they do.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray's like that. Like when you watch him, you're like, holy shit! Like that song is played that easily, but it's not that easy when you try to do it. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that was a good like schooling for me, like getting the videos, and then I was like, oh, so he's playing this here on the neck,
Yeah.
and like then I'd figure out exactly where it was and how to do it.
And you didn't
I
have-
don't know how I started talking about
And
this.
you didn't have to mirror it either because Hendrix is left-handed and you're left-handed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
None of that shit ever bothered me. I get that asked a
he
lot.
also played upside down.
No, he didn't. His guitar was upside down.
The guitar was upside down,
But
but
it
it
was
was
strung
strung
normally.
It was strung normally.
Correct.
I don't know where I heard it from, but someone
People just
fucking
misconstrue it.
Right.
There was a blues player named Albert King, who's like a legendary old blues player. He played lefty but strung upside down. So it does happen.
That's
Guys
fucking
do it.
crazy. Is that-
Yeah, Albert King's a big influence on Stevie Ray.
Because I'm left-handed too, and like I've played a right-handed instrument upside down and be like, this is hard, and then I was like, oh, I'm dumb.
Yeah,
I'm
you had the
supposed
wrong
to,
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. Like
When I
this isn't-
first, when I was like 9, my sister had an acoustic guitar, and so I would grab it, and she was right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always have it upside down so the strings would be reversed. And so, like for a year or so,
Uh-huh.
I would just learn. I was like 9, so I was like learning Green Day power chord songs, but upside down.
Still.
And then
like,
when I went to
yeah.
Guitar Center, they're like, "You should buy a right-handed guitar because it's way easier to find." I was like, "Okay, but like I want to play this way," and like so it was funny though how they
Uh-huh.
tried to sell me on a righty. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I want to play left-handed guitar. I'm
Yeah.
a lefty, and this is how I like to
This
do
is
it.
comfortable.
But I've met a lot of musicians over the years. They'll be, because it's weird. Being a left-handed guitar player is very rare, and it's rare in that about 1 in 10 people are left-handed.
Well, I'm left-handed too, and there's 2 of us.
Okay. Well, this is a
This is a rare
This is a
occurrence.
small sample size, bad sample size.
Yeah.
But generally, like I've met a lot of musicians that are like, "Oh, I'm a lefty too, but they told me to play right-handed, so I did."
So they learned uncomfortably to play it right.
So
God, I
less
hate
than
that.
1 in 10 musicians are going to be left-handed because a lot of the ones that are still told not to do it that way. So
Yeah.
my guess would be like more like 1 in 50, or maybe even fewer musicians that are actually play left-handed.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing, and it does suck buying guitars, because there's so few of them. Although the internet's made it a bit easier.
Yeah, because I saw your guitar rack and only one of the instrument, your acoustic is flipped, right?
Yes.
And that costs more money, and you have to send it to a tech guy and all that.
That was a cool. I
Yeah.
bought that. It's a Martin D18 that I bought from my aunt. My aunt is a singer songwriter. She actually had a career as a musician.
Ah, so it's in the family too.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, she's the main.
yeah.
She's the main one. She wrote for your listeners in their 40s and 50s and 60s.
I doubt it.
There was an artist in the 80s called Taylor Dane, and she was a big pop star in the 80s. And my aunt wrote and produced most of her music.
Oh, that's nice.
She did that, and she wrote some songs on some BB King records.
BB fucking
she wrote
King.
him.
Oh my
And,
god.
her name's Lottie Golden. She has a record on Spotify called Motorcycle, which was cited by Amy Winehouse in an interview as
shit.
one of her main influences.
Her birthday
So-
was recently.
I didn't know that. So my aunt actually had a cult resurgence because of the internet, because of Amy Winehouse, which was super awesome for her.
Yeah.
Because my aunt's like, in her late 60s now, and she's living in New York, and so for her to like get
Oh, she doesn't live here?
no, my mom and my whole family's from New York City, from
nice.
Brooklyn. Yeah, I'm the firstborn
Brooklyn.
Californian.
Oh shit.
Third generation American.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, not that it fucking
First
matters
generation
at
West
all.
Coast Jew.
Yeah, I do. We're all fucking immigrants in this goddamn country.
Yeah.
We don't have to go there.
We don't need to go there.
Not at all,
And
but-
and people know where I stand on that shit.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's dumb.
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
So New York, did you ever want to do the scene in New York? Like,
No,
yeah,
man.
you're here now. and all
I
that,
like
but
as people from
have
LA.
you ever thought about wanting to move there because
Fuck
family's
no,
there?
dude.
and
I got a car, man. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna live a life without a car.
You could starve and be warm here.
Exactly. No, dude. The quality of life in New York City, like unless you're a fucking rich person, is not good.
I went to school there for a minute. My dorm was like a walk-in closet.
Yeah, no,
Very
I mean,
compact.
I've gone there and hung with people that are like, of the same means as me, and like you live in a closet,
It's
and it's
not fun.
$1,000 a month,
It's $1,000 a month.
and it's a walk up. It's like a 6th floor walk up.
Ooh.
Like fuck, like imagine being a musician. Imagine carrying your amp up and down a 6th floor walk up.
Yeah,
and
and
then onto the subway.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
like,
go fuck
your
yourself.
Your amp is also your desk. Also,
Yeah, sure,
your
yeah.
table where you
Yeah,
eat
yeah,
food.
yeah.
Like, there's no fucking space at all.
Yeah.
I had
No, I'm not trying to live like that at all, man.
dude, I was set up in a dorm where like you did get a desk and like a little table or whatever, but there's no space. So I put the fucking table on top of the desk, so I had like a cubby hole kind of thing, and then my laptop was like inside this little like makeshift cubby hole by
Yeah.
stacking furniture. And I'm a West Coast mentality, like stacking shit, going like, oh, this shit's gonna come down in an earthquake. And I'm thinking, wait.
Yeah.
I'm not in California.
Yeah,
I'm in
you
the
can
East.
stack
I'm
in
on the
the
East
East
Coast. You
Coast.
can stack things. So
Yeah.
like, I didn't understand people that would like put knickknacks or whatever the shit they were into like
Yeah.
above their headrest where they
Yeah.
sleep. I'm like, no, that's a bad idea. Why would
Yeah.
you fucking do that? Move.
How do
your
you feel
bed.
about the idea of a nice size earthquake hitting here, just to scare some of the people that they don't really
I
know if they
would-
want to be here?
I secretly hope for like.
Should I
not
be
e-
careful what I'm wishing for?
I want mid strength or better.
Mid strength. Give me a Richter scale. What do you
Richter
want?
scale mid
You
strength.
want a
Okay,
7?
well,
You want a 7?
were you living here during Northridge?
I lived in Orange County.
So
and
you
I
didn't,
felt the shit out
you
of it.
felt the shit out of
40,
that.
40 minutes away, you felt that.
So the Northridge quake is my earliest memory. I was
Well, yeah.
I was
Wow.
2 going on 3,
Yeah,
and
so
I
I
remember
moved
it
about
so like I don't there's a lot of stuff from that period in your toddler childhood. A lot of people don't remember that.
I don't
stuff
remember
from-
anything until I'm about 4.
Oh yeah, my memory is very phasey, but the
You remember
Northridge-
that shit.
The Northridge quake, that is in my head. Like
Yeah.
it happened. Fucking, it was at like.
And you
4
lived
in the-
close to Northridge.
I lived in Studio City at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
so
yeah.
very close. So
Yeah.
it was like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just it just fucking
Oh, yeah,
abrupt,
dude.
violent shaking.
Yeah, and that wasn't even a 7.
No, it wasn't. It was
It was
a
like a
6.4.
6.4.
Yeah. It was
Yikes.
just violent, but I didn't wake up upset or in a panic at all. Like I was just
Right,
I woke
right.
up thinking like, oh, are we on a train? Because we had
Yeah,
just gotten
yeah,
back
yeah.
from seeing family in Seattle. We were on a train, and
Oh,
trains.
interesting. It felt
and
like a train.
It felt like a train.
That's not
and
so
I was
bad
like,
as a
Mommy,
little
we're
kid.
on the train. And my mom's like, fuck, no, get over here, like
The fucking death train.
the death train. Shit's falling down, and like
Yeah.
the building across the street from us kind of like did a Leaning Tower of Pisa thing. Like it didn't collapse; it was still
Yeah.
standing, but it was like really close
Yeah.
to that, and it was fucked. But
So-
I want it to happen because
So there was the
this-
one in Ridgecrest a few months ago.
Yeah.
That anyone that's listening that lived
July
here during
4th.
that time. Okay, it was on July
It was
4th.
on July 4th.
There you go.
Yeah. No, the July
and
4th
what-
was the second one.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ridge
yeah,
Center
yeah.
was on the
But
third.
they were both big though.
They were both pretty big. Yeah.
So what was that? That was in a sevens though, right?
I felt I was at home.
Jamie, pull that up.
This isn't Jake Rogan. We don't have a.
I can fucking pull it up.
You want to pull it up? Go ahead. Be
Yeah,
my
man.
guest for sure.
I'm
But no,
curious.
but to your point, what you were asking was a mid-strength earthquake to drive out some of the
Yeah.
transplants.
Yeah, and
make
drive
it
the home prices down a
a
little
little
bit.
less crowded. You know, maybe In-N-Out will live up to its name.
Why is that?
Because In-N-Out, the fucking lines at In-N-Out are so goddamn
Oh,
long.
sure.
You know,
oh yeah, in and out.
I
Okay.
just
I
want-
didn't get your joke.
I
at
don't
first.
want
Now I get it.
fatalities per se, but I do
Yeah.
want a lot of people to get scared and leave.
Why is
yes.
this telling me that it was a 3.8?
No,
It was way more than that, right?
You must be on the site where where they keep track of them constantly because
Oh,
earthquakes
yeah.
are constantly happening.
Yeah.
We just don't feel most
Yeah,
of
you're
them.
right. You're right.
Was July 4th? What day was that on? What day of the week was that on?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
You weren't at work when that happened.
Okay, sorry. It was a 7.1.
Yeah, so I was at home.
So
was
that's
the s-
legit, but that's a
That's
couple
legit.
hours away though.
It's a couple hours away, and what I felt was like a slow roll, and I'm going like, all right, is
Yeah.
it gonna get?
Yeah,
like,
me too.
You have like a split second
Yeah.
where you go like,
you get into the mode of what's gonna go down.
If this gets worse immediately,
Where am I gonna go? What am I
I
gonna
know,
do?
like I already mapped out like
What's your plan? What do you do?
My plan. Luckily, I live near a dog park. So there's a wide open area to go to immediately
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't want to be in an area where there's
Sure.
trees and shit and like shit's
Yeah.
falling down,
Yeah.
telephone poles,
Yeah.
like a big fuck all mess.
What? How many
like,
floors are you on?
I am the first floor of two-floor building.
Okay, that's
so,
not bad. Because
Yeah.
I'm in a 3-floor building, and I'm in the middle. So if this shit pancakes, I'm toast.
It's most likely retrofitted. A lot of buildings.
This was retrofitted. Yeah.
A lot of buildings around
But-
here are pretty sturdy.
Yeah, but are those because obviously this one lasted through Northridge.
Yeah.
You know, but is it going to last through an 8? What if an 8? What if an 8
it's an
hits
8?
Los Angeles? Right. That's the weird thing, right? Because we're on a fault line.
Yeah.
Yet
That's a
all
lot of
these
deaths.
earthquakes are like Ridgecrest is hours away. So why are all these earthquakes? I should be asking a seismologist, but I wonder that like how come all these earthquakes are not around the fault line? They're further away.
Have you noticed that it's also been everywhere else but here?
Yeah, that's what
So
I'm
like
saying.
we're along that area of the Ring of Fire on
Right.
on the Pacific Coast
Yeah.
where it's we're between the San Andreas. So Ridge Center is on the other side of the San Andreas Fault. Maybe I think I'm not a fucking scientist.
Yeah.
but
Sorry, I know. I'm asking
maybe
a sciencey question.
maybe that side had more activity. And they're closer to the other side of the
Yeah.
fault line, but what we got was a slow roller.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there scratching my nuts, going,
That was
"Ah,
nothing. That
fuck."
was nothing.
I was almost disappointed.
piece of cake.
I was almost disappointed.
I want a fun one. That one. It was
That
that
one
one
wasn't
wasn't
fun.
even fun yet.
It wasn't fun.
It has
'cause
to be more to be fun.
I wanted. It starts to get fun when the shit in your house is falling down.
Yes.
Because the windows were rattling, and I have tapestries and like posters that were like moving,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well, this definitely isn't a truck going by.
Yeah.
And it didn't get worse. I'm like,
I'm willing to sacrifice a few tapestries for a few thousand.
The pool was all
a
fucked.
few thousand East Coasters and Midwesterners to
Well,
peace out.
what pissed-
Sorry if that's elitist.
what
But the traffic gets worse every year.
People
There's
wanna
more
come out
people
here and be stars
every
and shit.
year. Yeah, and it's yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Over it.
it's the kind of natural disaster that doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
And it doesn't happen enough. Well, at least with like hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards,
Yeah.
or whatever, you can anticipate that.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's-
there's no. Well, it's so Japan has a fucking system where they have like a 2-minute head start before the earthquake
What?
happens. Yeah, dude.
Give me
yeah,
some of that
dude.
shit. We
this
need
is
that.
real. This is real shit because they've got their shit together. We don't have our shit together. Like this is it's possible. It'll cost a lot of money.
They predict-
but they literally know before it happens.
Do they predict where?
They
They can predict when, but
Close
they
enough.
get the ballpark of like
They're
the
gonna tell you
epicenter is
if
going to
you're
be right.
if
fucking
you're
here,
in
or-
so I have friends that lived in Tokyo in the last bad one, which was like I want to say about 6 years ago.
Was
the
that
one
the
that
one,
was
the one that caused
Fukushima?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, that one.
So that was an 8 something, and it was in the
fucked.
ocean.
Ooh.
But even out in the ocean, it was huge in Japan.
Yeah.
But their buildings are super sturdy. Some of them are literally
Oh,
on
yeah.
these giant wheels and on these giant spring, like hydraulic systems.
Yeah.
Basically, like your building can like go the fuck down the street,
Dude, I saw
and you'll be fine.
there's a simulation of earthquakes it was on Discovery Channel a long time ago where they had something on wheels to simulate an intense earthquake to
Right.
study like
Right.
the movement or
they're
whatever.
they're well prepared. And I reached out to my buddy, and he was very scared when it happened. But yeah, they knew a couple minutes, so you have a warning before it even starts.
Also, the
And that's
animals
like- yeah.
freak out. The animals get.
Oh,
pulled.
yeah, that's
my
true.
mom because I was able to get a hold of my mom while the earthquake was still going on because the lines are dying
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
everyone, and she's like, yeah, the dog's freaking out.
Weird.
Like and then like the dog was freaking out and the birds got really quiet.
Weird.
Right, like about 30 seconds before. My mom is the type of
It's
old
the one
hippie-
benefit, you get quiet birds for 30
Yeah,
seconds.
she's the old type of hippie where she has hummingbird feeders left and right. So
Yeah.
there's like a lot of birds flocking like to her like window and
A
her
bird
area.
seems like it's such a strange pet to me. Like you're taking something that flies
Yeah.
and putting it in a cage.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It really makes no sense if you
we had
think
an
about
old
it.
we have an old family friend that had a cockatiel.
And then they wonder why it bites your fucking finger. Motherfucker wants to fly, dude.
He wants to fly.
Wants to
yeah.
fly.
We have an old family friend that has a cockatiel. You know the ones with the little rosy cheeks and they're super cute
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
It's like she had a cage and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but it was just.
I picture
it
like
was
Jewish
open,
people in Miami have those birds. Is it weird that I
like
picture
tropic birds.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I could see that.
that? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why I'm single out Jewish people, but I feel
Well,
like
retired old Jewish
retired
people,
old people in Miami are
Well,
is
birds are
good
social
chance.
creatures. If you have a bird, that means you're home a lot.
Yeah, right.
Leaving a bird alone in your house, like especially like if you keep it locked in a cage, the bird's gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
And if our old family friend was home a lot, but the bird was able to go wherever the fuck it wanted to.
Yeah.
But when it would hit nighttime, it's time to go to bed. It'd be like, get over here, like you
Yeah.
know. It was very like they're smart.
Yeah, for sure.
They're smart, but I could never own a bird.
Fuck that.
Like they make noise and shit. Like
Yeah.
you ever see those cockatoo
Not that.
videos where they're just like their fucking hair is up or whatever and they're screaming
No.
because they want attention and shit. Like,
I would
could never.
I would eat it.
You would eat it
Yeah.
in an emergency situation.
No,
They
if it
cook
was
up
the emergency is that the bird's screaming and I'm tired of listening to it scream, so I'm gonna have it for dinner.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah, my mom was saying the
sorry,
birds.
vegans.
Yeah, but yeah, my mom was saying the birds got quiet and that's
you don't
how
have
she
you don't
knew.
have vegan listeners.
No, I don't have. I barely have any listeners. I have my mom who checks me on my shit.
Yeah.
Because I've already referenced my mom multiple times, but we never got personal. So I'm holding to the promise, mother. My friend's
Can
mom.
you edit the part where I insinuated that she had a penis? I feel really
No,
bad. You're
no,
leaving it in?
not at all.
All right.
Not at all.
I'm
I
not
do
editing it.
because there are certain there. Are,
I don't know your mom. She'll know that I was kidding.
She'll like you, and of course she's gonna know you're kidding. I did heavily edit one conversation that I had with my last guest, who was venting out my frustrations to you about.
Yes, yes.
It's out on audio, but it's still not on video because he's scared.
He's the guy that turned out to be autistic when the red light went on.
How do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean, he said he wasn't. He didn't speak very articulately.
He's
you say
afraid.
that
Yeah,
articulately?
he's afraid that his it's a stupid reason, but I'm gonna respect his wishes because he's my friend and I respect him. But
Yeah.
he's afraid that his cadence will make his employers think less of him.
So does he speak with a different cadence at work?
There's how you're at your day job and you have your customer service voice
Right,
and
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
That's what he's concerned about.
Weird.
Is that he carries himself differently around different groups of people.
I think people
It's fickle.
understand that their work persona is not the same as
Right,
their non-work
and-
persona. I think that's accepted by people.
Right,
you
and
know?
plus we were both taking hits of this pen left and right, and
okay.
I'd made sure that to cut the camera,
Yeah.
that when the camera cut to me, I didn't give a fuck. So when I had the pen, I didn't care. But when I passed it to him, would cut to me, even if
Yeah.
I'm not the one talking.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want footage of him smoking on it,
Right.
which I understand.
Right.
And also I edited our conversation because I talked about my family personally
Right.
that would go against my mother's wishes. and it's also like a lot of like dark shit that I don't want to be out in the ether.
Yeah.
One example that I'll give you without being too specific.
I mean, sorry, but like
Yeah, no,
before
it's
you even
fine.
start, why would someone air their family stuff on a podcast? I have
Because I doubt it'll get out there.
sure.
I doubt that, but there's still like the small chance.
There's things that are private.
Paranoia.
You know,
It's paranoia mostly.
sure.
Um,
There's things that are private.
yeah.
Like for me, like there's fun things to talk about, and that's what a podcast is for. You know, and talking about like family stuff. Because look, at the end of the day, like you know, you live long enough,
Yeah.
you realize everyone has at least a family member, most likely more than one,
Yeah.
but at least one that's a fuck up and or fucked up.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to deal with it, and it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And that's life. But like, you know, do we want to hear about that on a podcast?
No.
Take that to your
No.
friends. Take that to
Yeah,
your
that's-
close friends.
yeah, that's where it gets- that's
that
where-
will live.
But you've
you know.
heard the jokes about like me not knowing my dad and shit. Like
Sure.
and that's the kind of stuff specifically that she doesn't want me on there. But like I tell jokes about it on stage.
Sure.
You know,
If you're
and
making light of something,
I'm
that's
making light
that's
of
different.
it.
That's
But
different.
that's what she doesn't. That's what she doesn't. She doesn't want because
I'll say
she's
this.
stubborn.
I would say this.
Yeah.
If it's funny,
yeah.
then it doesn't matter. But
Right.
if you're not getting a laugh, then it's not working.
Right.
You know?
And well,
that's the same thing with anything with comedy, with all these people that are, you know, like saying things that are politically incorrect or whatever.
It's a joke.
The thing is, if it's funny, it doesn't matter. But like, if your joke is bad and you're saying something in poor taste, then you're actually going to get in trouble and kind of
Yeah.
deserve it.
it's crafting because that's the
Yeah.
difference between remember when Michael Richardson flipped out over
Right.
the two black
Of
guys
course,
heckling him.
obviously.
That's what he tried to make a joke out of it because he's being heckled and now you have to respond.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It wasn't funny.
Yeah,
He
there was no
probably
digging his way out of
He
that
probably
hole.
meant for it to be funny in his heart, but that's not what came out
Yeah,
of his
but-
mouth.
right,
Because
right.
being heckled is bad and it
Yeah.
pisses off the comic most.
There was
first
a
and
good
foremost,
example.
you
Bill
know?
Bill Maher had a slip up a couple years ago.
Yeah.
When he referred to himself as a house N-word. I'm
Oh,
not going to
God.
say it. In the
Ooh.
thing was.
When was this?
This was a couple years ago.
I didn't catch
In
wind
like
of
the next
that.
episode, they had like Ice Cube on and all these black people to like shame him basically.
Yeah.
But it was close. Like he was close to losing real time because of that.
Yeah.
For that little slip up.
So
But
then he
the
had to
thing
apologize
was-
on TV.
Then he had to
and-
apologize
and,
on TV.
And then everyone roasted him, and that.
And everyone roasted him.
kind
That
of-
made it okay.
Yeah.
But he was close though. He was on the edge of like losing his gig.
Yeah.
For that little thing. But the thing was, the reason he got in trouble is because it wasn't funny.
Right.
Like if it was, it's the same with Louis C.K. Like he got away with using the N-word a ton in his specials.
Right.
And he
A white
always got
kid,
away with
yeah.
it because the context, it worked.
It-
It just
it-
fucking
it-
worked.
it was
and it was
humorous,
hilarious.
yeah.
And people still talk about those bits because they're still funny.
They're timeless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It-
So that's really what it comes down to. Like with your mom not liking it, like all I'll say is like if your joke is killing, then she can't really say anything. But if your joke's not killing and it's like
Right.
then it gets cringy when it's like
Well, yeah,
my
it-
dad's a deadbeat and like no one's laughing. That's just
Yeah,
ugh.
well, that's what
Yeah,
they cut.
no
That's
one
what,
wants to be
that's
there.
what like the 10 minutes that I edited out was because it was me like opening up about it because it is something that I don't like talk about a lot,
Right.
and when I do talk about it, it's in light.
Right, as it should be.
But that doesn't.
If you're,
it doesn't alleviate how I feel like about it because
Mm-hmm.
this type of humor is coming from like a dark place or a
Sure.
dramatic place. But like I don't want that out there
Yeah.
because I don't want the episode to be bad and I don't want it to be
Yeah.
a downer. Like
We
okay,
could talk about
Yeah.
dad's not around because
Yeah.
I grew up without a dad as well.
and yeah, so you.
But
might,
I think you kind of grow up faster in a way.
Yeah.
Because there is no male like force around.
Yeah, one of my jokes is I still sit when I pee.
What? Why?
My dad wasn't there to teach me how to pee,
Oh my god,
so I was,
Jesus.
my mom raised me, so I still sit when I pee.
man! No one. Maybe so. Well, the thing about not having a dad is like you collect father figures, and and that's how you learn. Like you. Like,
Yeah, I
had
got
a-
that through films and like my friend's dad. And,
Yeah, friends, dads, and like
yeah.
coaches. I had a basketball coach that like I
Mhm.
really looked up to, and like,
Yeah.
things like that, and it's a cool thing.
Well, you look for
especially
that
if they
and-
don't touch your butthole.
And right. Oh God, my cousin's dad, my uncle, like did that type of shit, and it was like really fucked up. But like all is forgiven and like they're cool now.
Why?
It's a long story.
Okay.
It's a long story.
I ain't forgiven.
But the thing is, like, you can come from a fucked up environment and still get that you could still get that nourishing feeling from other people, like vicariously. Like, who cares if it's not your dad that taught you how to do a tie? You know,
Yeah, right, exactly.
it was the basketball coach that taught you how to do a fucking layup. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't your dad, but like
Yeah.
you kind of want this that
Yeah.
you want that male bond, you know,
Yeah.
and you can still find that. You
Absolutely.
know, I don't know my dad. Your dad passed early on, so we
Yeah.
both missed out on that, but we
Yeah.
still got that.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
My best friend's dad was the one who got me into stand up, and I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, do you want to try this?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, why not?" And
Yeah.
like, even if it's not for doing stand up as a career, like you
Yeah.
need to be able to like get in front of people and not be a fucking nervous person.
Yeah.
You know, you need to like talk in front of people.
Yeah.
Was that ever an issue? Like, you get anxious like before
Oh,
going on stage?
Absolutely.
But,
Not as much anymore.
but like you use the energy to serve your purpose on stage.
You
not,
try.
Not like, oh fuck, I'm gonna
Yeah,
fuck
of course,
up, or,
of
like-
course.
Yeah.
I mean, like the thing, like I'll get more nervous if I'm not as prepared. So like for
Oh,
me,
yeah.
the main thing, and it's hard with comedy, especially like you're writing new jokes, or with music if you have new songs. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not always going to be as prepared as you want to be. Like that's just the unfortunate truth of it.
Yeah.
But you know, like generally, like I've been playing the stuff I've been playing for a while now, so it's like I feel really comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't drink or get fucked up on stage, but I feel like I'm at the point where I could, and I'd be
Yeah.
fine.
There's people
you
who
know?
have like a shot or a hit.
I'm
or a
fine.
bump
I'm okay
or
with
whatever.
that. I'm okay with a shot before you go on. But
Yeah.
as a lightweight, speaking personally, I know that 2 shots is enough to get me straight up drunk. You know?
Start forgetting the words.
Yeah,
and
just,
shit,
and just
like,
well,
you know.
and your motor function goes out. And like singing, like
Yeah.
you need motor function for singing and playing guitar, like especially both of those things.
I could
Like
never-
we've all been to drunk karaoke, like motherfuckers. Like
I
even
could
even
never.
good singers like start to lose their shit. you
Yeah,
know?
I could never fucking get the. We all hear those rock and roll, sex, drug, and rock and roll stories about like a band being on tour and just getting fucked up every
Right,
night,
yeah,
and
it's
then
the
still having
cliche.
having the energy to put on a fucking show.
No, but they fuck
for
up.
An hour.
They'll
But yeah,
fuck
they
up.
fuck up.
Like I've heard stories
what you
about.
don't hear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but you hear from people that have gone to the shows. My mom had a boyfriend who was like a big Van Halen guy, and I am too, Van Halen, rock and roll. But he was like, yeah, he saw Van Halen in the '80s with David Lee Roth, and like Lee Roth was so fucked up that he didn't remember the words of the songs,
Yeah.
and like it was just a drag. It was like,
He's
yo,
like, I paid money for this?
you pay money to go
Yeah.
see something that should be great, and it sucks.
Right.
You know, so like I don't care how big of a rock star you are. If you're getting trashed and like doing a bad job, like that's awful. You know,
A lot of these guys come from fucked up places like addiction and like family issues and shit like that.
yeah,
And,
David Lee
like,
Roth doesn't come from that.
you give them.
David Lee Roth is a rich kid from fucking Pasadena.
He just wanted to like, oh, let's party on, dude. Like
Yeah,
that was the
I mean,
whole-
look, all respect. I like Diamond Dave. I'm a fan. But you know, the '80s were a different time. People were getting super fucked up back then.
yeah.
And you know,
How would I
more
know?
recently, Amy Winehouse she would get fucked up and not show up for shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And well,
That's so sad. That's such a
Yeah.
huge disservice to like.
It is.
Well, there's some people that go into it like,
Although
oh,
she
I
had-
have to be in this party now. I have to go do key bumps and
Yeah.
and drink and
right.
all that shit. Like that's the lifestyle. That's what I should
Right.
do
Yeah.
to be cool, to be accepted,
Yeah,
to blend
sure.
in. Like some people come at it like that.
Yeah.
You give an addict money. What are they going to spend it on?
Yeah.
And they have a lot of money, and then
Yeah.
tours suffer.
Yep.
I always
definitely.
like to perform clean because
Me
I've
too, yeah.
definitely performed like I've definitely taken a couple of hits too many of the pen and go, oh fuck, I lost my place, I don't know where I am.
Yeah, right.
So
You
what was I
have-
saying? And it's like that's precious
Yeah.
stage time.
Yep.
It's not.
You have to be sharp.
Yeah.
You know, and the best way to be sharp is to be straight on stage. You know what I mean? And I think it's
Yeah.
respectful to the audience. Now that being said, like if you're a guy like Chappelle or whatever, and like
Mm-hmm.
you're 20, 30 years into your craft, and like you have so much material that you're not going to brain fart.
Yeah.
Like then yeah, you can have a drink or have a puff and you'll be fine. You know. But I think until you're at that point, don't be an idiot. Be a pro. You know.
Mm-hmm. When you
Act
feel,
like a pro.
When you feel under prepped, what are you worried about that goes fuck up the most?
Lyrics.
Lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
There's
'cause, like,
nothing.
sometimes-
There's nothing worse than fucking dropping a line and like, it's hard to make that work when you forget a word. And generally, what'll happen is I'll sing the same verse twice. That's like, and you fucking hate that because
Yeah.
you know you worked hard on the lyrics and like there's a story and then you fucked your story now.
Yeah.
You know. And it's hard to like put on a happy face while you're fucking up
He's
too.
like, I fucked up, but don't let them know.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
yeah.
But it's like, oh, are they noticing that I'm singing the same fucking verse twice?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen a lot, but you know, it happens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, it sucks. That's the main thing.
Oh, dude, I did live theater like all through high school. I was a theater,
Right.
I was the theater nerd. So like, I've definitely like that's happened to me where I straight up froze once.
Yeah.
Straight up froze.
We've
Like,
all been
what
there.
is the next fucking word? And I'm just like, there's just that 15-second. Oh shit!
Yeah.
It's all
Yep.
the whole thing stopped. But then like I
Yep.
got back into it, and the show like continued or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so noticeable, and it
Yeah.
is the worst feeling ever.
So I'll do a thing.
Yeah.
Like I had a gig last Saturday, and I have a new song where I wrote the first word. There's 4 verses. I just wrote with Sharpie on a piece of paper the first word of each of the 4 verses, just down a page.
And then
in
you
big
can just
words.
kinda, like, get the
and so
rest
because
of
all
that.
I need to see is that first word.
Yeah.
Because generally that's what you need, right?
I
to
would-
remember a line.
I'll remember everything else but the first word.
Exactly.
Fuck.
And if you can't get that first word, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So that's I'll make a cheat sheet if I feel like I need it. You
Yeah.
know, if I fuck up in the rehearsal and forget the words, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna need this cheat sheet. And it's as simple as writing 4 big bold words on a page and just leaving it by my feet. And yeah, that saved me the other night at a gig. So
Dude,
you know.
and you can get away with it more as a musician because you can literally put that on the floor by your pedal board and no
Sure.
one's looking at your fucking feet.
Yeah, but I feel
while
like
you're
as a
playing, you
comedian,
know? Yeah.
I'll say I saw Bill Maher do stand-up comedy in Vegas about 3 years ago.
That was oh fuck, that's cool.
And I
Fuck.
want to say, was it the Mirage? Maybe it's where he always does his Vegas shit.
Mm-hmm.
He always did it at the same place. And man, it was cool. Like as a fan of Bill Maher, as a fan of his like real time show for years, I'd never seen him do stand up.
Yeah.
And to see him do stand up, it was like a different thing. He's a fucking badass comic. Like generally, it's political, of course.
Yeah, it's
but-
live, but
yeah.
that's 100% him. He's not
Yes,
constrained
yes.
by any network
Well,
decisions or
HBO,
anything.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
HBO, there's more liberties. Like,
More
in terms
liberties,
of-
but
yeah.
still, yeah, but it's still very formatted.
Yeah.
So to see him just as a comic do his thing was really badass. But the reason I bring it up is because he was working through new stuff, and I was observing he had a music stand and he had notes on it.
Uh-huh.
And he would walk away from it for most of the set, but as he would come to the end of a bit, he would slowly walk towards it, just take a little peek, and then walk away.
Did he bring up that it was new, or did it just you just saw
no.
it happen?
I just observed.
That's,
I just observed him working, and it was really cool to see how pro he was about it.
That's
the way he would
good.
just like sort of drift toward the space as knew he was going to need this like whatever connector to the next thing.
Yeah.
And he would just peek and then walk away and then be badass for another 10 minutes.
That's fucking
you know?
dope.
And it was cool to see him in that element.
I always tried to stray away from looking at my notes.
But here's
Like,
the thing:
yeah,
it
but I'm-
didn't detract from the show at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you do it in a slick way,
Yeah.
that like, hey, if it's helping from having that pause moment,
Yeah.
who cares if you're gonna look?
Yeah,
at
there's
the
not a
thing?
lot of hiding places. A lot of comics that I've seen, because I've done I've been to a lot of shows. They'll put their phone on the stool, and there'll be
Yeah.
like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And like sometimes like they'll walk towards it and like try to be slick about it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it
It's-
doesn't work. They go, oh shit. Not that
Yep,
one.
right.
Like,
It's gonna close on you.
Yeah, and people use their phones for that, and like, oh, dude, that screen is gonna close if you don't
Yeah.
get to it fast enough.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah, no,
there's
I
all
think
these factors.
I have no problem with the comedian working through stuff, looking at a piece of paper for a second.
Yeah,
you
they-
know.
well, they do
But now
that
if they glance at it and stare at it,
Yeah.
and there's a pause, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
But if they just do a quick peek and then use that as a tool to move on.
They'll do that at small clubs where they're just working
Yeah.
on new shit.
Well, no, I
and
mean Bill
it's
Maher
not-
did this in a big ass theater of thousands of people.
Fuck, that's
But
so.
like I said,
fucking
no
badass.
no issue. You know.
That is badass because
Yeah.
he's trying out new stuff.
Yeah.
I assume to a crowd of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
uh,
one. I think
yeah.
he's comfortable on that stage because I know
Yeah.
he does
That's
Vegas
fucking nice.
a bunch of times a year. That's one of his rooms that he likes, so I'm sure he's comfortable there.
Because practicing new stuff in a small crowd is harder to gauge whether that was a good joke or not. Because
Yeah.
I'm really hypercritical about
Yeah.
everything I say. Like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe the joke's good. Maybe I didn't say it right that night. And there's
Yeah.
all these other like you just do it more and more times.
Yeah.
And he had the balls to fucking just try a new one on stage and,
Yeah.
kind of like maybe you once you're a well-known comic, you kind of know your crowd because that they're
Totally.
there for you.
He did
They're
make a
fans
joke
of
because
you.
there were people that walked out,
Ah.
and he made a joke about how like in Vegas people comp, if you're a gambler, they'll like, hey, you want to go to this show, and they'll be like, sure.
And they
you
won't know anything
Yeah,
about
they don't
that
even know
person.
anything about it.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
was
that's
kind of
good.
making a joke about other people walking out and shit.
That's
he's like,
funny.
he's like, it's like, if you've not fucking heard of me by now, like, I'm fucking liberal. Like, this is like, you shouldn't come to my show if you're a fucking Trump supporter or whatever.
Well, yeah, people who
because
are
this was in 2015, so pre-Trump. So the entire hour and a half was him shitting on Trump. But like, it was before shitting
it
on
was
Trump
before,
was cool,
right? Yeah.
and it was beautiful. Like, it was,
Oh,
it
dude,
was,
I
it wasn't like the way it is now, where it's like so tired and old, and it's like, let's talk about anything.
There's
else.
no escape because, I mean, making fun of Trump pre-Trump is great because also it's a hot button and it's like
Yeah.
an election year.
Yeah,
Everyone-
election year,
You
yeah.
can't avoid it.
You can't
But
avoid
now, like, you can't avoid it even more because
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of the late night talk shows are
Do they still just? I can't believe
they're
these
all going that
let's,
route,
Let's
like-
talk about that. Why are late night talk shows still a thing? Who the fuck is
Dude,
watching them?
well, it's
old people, right?
old people that still want the cable.
It's boomers.
It's boomers.
When these
and-
boomers die, sorry boomers listening.
Yeah,
But like
no
a bunch
boomers
of these
are listening.
fucking dated formats are gonna go, and I'm very excited.
Yeah,
About that.
it's gonna go. It's because it's gonna become more independent. Maybe cable would stick around, maybe for live sports. I think.
Yeah, but the streaming services
even
are,
that,
are picking up the
ESPN
Hulu,
Plus, yeah.
ESPN Plus. They're
Yeah.
figuring out the sports.
They're figuring out the
yeah,
sports.
let
so yeah,
cable
it's,
die.
It's gonna go.
Fuck Time Warner Cable or Spectrum or whatever the fuck they're called.
Late night. A lot of comedians and a lot of people in general are just like so hard pressed to not talk about Trump because he's everywhere, and it's
Yeah,
it's
and
just
also
so, like,
he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a
Did
showman.
you see the thing he said the other day? It was like, "Who's my favorite dictator?" he said that
Wait, to who?
to Egyptians.
Oh fuck! No
Yeah,
way,
dude.
Where I did not.
I don't
catch-
remember where, but
Well, look,
it's
because
no joke. He actually said that, and like that's hilarious. Here's the thing,
it's
like
funny, but
politics aside,
yeah,
he's pretty funny.
he is funny. well, he's not a politician. He's a showman.
Right.
You know,
Right.
he's a showman.
I guess it's funny in how ridiculous it is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's one thing I'll give him brownie points for is that he's making younger people pay attention to politics, which in the general sense are boring.
Yeah.
And he's making it fun.
Yeah.
But like in late night shows are talking about it constantly. It's just like can we be informed yet still be sane?
Right.
Can we just fucking take a step back?
Yeah.
Like I remember all the shit going on with Katrina and George Bush and like the wars and all that shit. There was an escape to that because people would
Right.
talk about other shit that was
Yeah.
going on. Late night was just always
Yeah.
that, and I'm like, I'm so done with it.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I don't want to go off too into the subject of politics and all that.
No.
But like,
Let's not.
let's not. But it's become so like comics are scared to joke about it, and now it's like a hacky thing now.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, that's an easy subject to start throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that comics, well-known comics, are talking more about their experiences at airports? Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that a lot more
Yeah.
now?
They like to talk about it.
The last time I got on a flight was fucking 4 years ago. I don't fly much.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
travel
fine.
much.
I don't. Yeah.
I still get the jokes, but it's like, oh, he's going to talk about going to the airport.
I think they
Like,
just these comics
it's-
spend a lot of time on the road, so
They
it's
do,
just
so that's what
something-
they have.
That's what they have to talk. Like, what else can they draw from? Like,
Yeah.
especially the successful ones. Like, that's an interesting thing with comedy is like because a lot of what's interesting about life is often like the drudgery of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, if you're living like a kind of richer, privileged lifestyle,
Yeah.
and everything's peaches and roses, like I think there's probably less humor to find in that. I would
Yeah.
imagine. I'm not a comedian,
And
so.
you're in the waiting room waiting to board. What's on the news? What's the news talking about? Don, it's like fuck,
Yeah,
there's-
yeah,
it's
you're
those
just stuck in-
you're
in
just
those
stuck in this
things.
fucking loophole, and you can't like. It's
Yeah.
hard to expand.
Yeah,
you know.
totally. I don't know. I
Yeah.
take that all back though. Like life, it doesn't matter if
Life
you're rich or
happens.
poor. Life is gonna fucking happen to you, and there's interesting shit anywhere.
Yeah, and there's-
Anywhere you look, there's interesting things happening.
Yeah.
Unless you just got your fucking head in the sand, but
And-
that's not what comedians are about.
To go into your song Space Girl is that
Oh.
you're
Oh, yeah.
you're making fun of a certain group of people, and that's the
Yes.
crystal clutchers and the horoscope people and all
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
did you draw inspiration from society or like someone that you know that's
well,
into that type of shit, or like
it's funny. I mean, astrology.
because it's something we notice.
Yeah,
people
for sure.
talk about that.
Astrology has actually been a part of my life
Uh-huh.
since I was young because my mom's big into astrology.
Yeah,
and-
so is my
and-
mother.
And
Yeah, she's
my
really into it.
dad was actually really into astrology.
Uh-huh.
And so it's always been there. So like,
Yeah.
and I have fun with it, but at the same time, like that song specifically, I dated a girl that was like really into like healing crystals and like wanted to do everyone's horoscope and was like into it in a way that I thought was unhealthy, and I thought
Uh-huh.
she was a bit. I'm not naming her, so like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. She was a bit of a phony. You
It
know?
was more cultish than than less and
Yeah.
less personal.
Yeah.
because
And
I
she-
feel like
and-
that's personal to like when
Yeah.
it comes to spirituality and shit like
Right,
that.
right.
But like just kind of going like, this is gonna heal you if you recharge it in the ocean and
Yeah,
shit like that.
right. But it was also like she was just trying to like analyze people based on their signs and like to a way that was like invasive and annoying. And it's like, hey, like why don't you just judge people based on if they're decent or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like like just chill out on this a little bit.
I'm an Aquarius, so half of me thinks it's bullshit, and the other half is like, yeah, there's some truth to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm wishy washy on it. I'm not entirely against it or entirely for it.
But you poke fun at it.
That being
That's
said,
what I
I,
like.
I write a song that definitely does it's tongue in cheek and it definitely makes light of astrology.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope that people that like astrology enjoy the song
Mm-hmm.
in spite of that because it's like you can't take anything too fucking seriously.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And if it's done right, which I think lyrically, like I think it's clear that it's funny and fun and catchy.
It also reminds me of the song "Idiot Wind" by Bob Dylan.
Cool. I don't know if I know the song. What
It's,
record's it on?
Blood on the Tracks is
shit.
the record that it's
Oh,
on.
okay.
That song is on that album.
Okay,
And
sick.
I mean, maybe it's my biased opinion, but that's mine and my mother's. Like, that's the best one. And "Idiot."
Best Dylan song?
The best. I think that's the best
Best
Dylan
song on the record?
album. And,
Oh
and
yeah, Blood
Idiot,
on the Tracks is a great record.
"Idiot Wind" is my.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know the song.
It's dude, it's totally fine because I guess a lot of people, maybe some people think that the album is the superior one, but "Idiot Wind" is like the funny song on that record, which happens to be my favorite.
Cool. I'll listen to it.
It really just it's kind of similar. It just talks about people just running their mouths and being dumb.
Sure. Yeah.
Or what is it? "Idiot Wind," or it's a fucking miracle you know how to breathe, or something like. I'm
Damn.
butchering it. I don't know.
Yeah, he's really shitting on
He's
some.
just shitting on
yeah.
people of low IQ, and
Yeah.
it's just so funny.
Love it.
And it's kind of like it also reminds me of when John C. Reilly in Walk Hard makes fun of Bob Dylan. It's
Yes.
like, kind of making him look like a pretentious asshole
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
And "Idiot Wind" is like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
What do you
cool.
fucking know?
That sounds like
you should definitely check that song
Yeah, I
out. You
can't
would
believe I don't know
love it because he's
Yeah.
a storyteller type of guy.
Yeah, of course.
And that one's just raining shitstorm of
Yeah.
insults.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And did you listen to a lot of Bob Dylan when you
Yeah.
were younger? Like, was he
Yeah,
another
I did.
influence of yours? Like,
Yeah, definitely. Like Highway 61 was like early on one of my favorites, and then Blonde on Blonde like probably like a little bit later, like as I matured a bit. And what was his first record? The one with like Blowing in the Wind and stuff
Oh
like that.
God, I don't know. I'm familiar, but
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
hardcore.
yeah. So
just like
those
you are.
three were like my favorites, and then like I heard Blood on the Tracks, and I know
Yeah.
that's one of his better ones. That's the '70s, I think.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like his good '70s record.
I know what I know.
Because shit got
Yeah.
weird with Dylan, like as it got later '70s and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
no. Anyway, short answer. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan.
Was music? Did you ever? Did your folks play like loud stereo? Like, did they have a big stereo in the house and like was music always being played?
I
like,
don't
in the
remember there
background?
being a big stereo, but in the car, that was where we listened.
the
to everything.
cars where you heard
the
all
cars
of this
where we
stuff.
heard all the stuff. My mom played the band, so that's where like I figured out Dylan.
Like CDs and stuff, or
Yeah,
or,
yeah, CDs. In the car.
Okay.
CDs in the car.
Because I don't think
was-
Bob Dylan was playing on the radio when we were children.
No.
Doubt it.
No, it
Yeah.
was the Rolling Stones a lot.
Yeah.
My mom and dad's favorite band was the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And then the
Or
band.
like the Rolling Kidney Stones.
And
Fuck.
then, yeah, Jesus, nowadays, my mom loved the Pretenders, Chrissy Hine,
Mm-hmm.
so that played a lot, and then the '90s happened, and then me and my sister listened to like fucking stupid music for a while.
Did you
know?
catch? Did your sister's music taste blend into your? Because what you're playing is like kind of throwback stuff, and I think it can broaden your horizons because classic rock and roll is something that old people like,
Right.
and I think a lot of young people
Yeah,
like it too.
yeah, absolutely.
And you're not like so like shoveled into like one specific thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
and yet you take so much from
Yeah.
so other play. Like for me, like my mom was listening to reggae and fucking Sheryl Crow when I was a kid,
sure.
and yet I'm a metalhead.
Yeah.
But I still have like an appreciation for like all that other stuff because it
Yeah.
was just playing in the house. Like
Yeah.
whatever my mom listened to, I listened to too because it was there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. And it's not even shit that I listen to all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's why I hate rap. I don't know. There
was good rap.
There's good rap,
and there
out
still
there,
is.
But,
Yeah.
But it's not my wheelhouse. It's not my
Well,
thing.
my big problem because Kendrick is doing some great stuff now, but the mumble rap stuff is really hurting my brain.
It's getting annoying. And Power 106, the rap station, will play rap songs that has cussing in it, but because it's radio, they'll censor it out, and that just loses the flavor.
Yeah.
When they're like, "Oh God, can we just hear the fucking song?"
Right. Yeah. I want to
God.
hear about
Yeah.
the booties and the hoses. I want to hear.
Yeah,
about
even
it.
though I don't like it, I still want to what's the message? What are
Yeah.
you taking out that's
Yeah.
so sensitive and so controversial?
the word skeet needs to be in there.
Yeah,
you can't,
skeet should be in there.
You
It shouldn't
can't
be bleeped
bleep
out.
that out.
It's funny.
It's taking away from
It's funny.
the core message of the song.
And that feely good 50s cafe stuff that you're playing, I'm not shitting on it, but not my wheelhouse, but I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And people shouldn't be elitists and listen to whatever they fucking want because it's polarizing in the metal community for sure. You ever meet those people that are just like, it's this band, it's these 4 bands, everybody else sucks.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're just like, this is the farce. Like, okay, Tool fans, I like Tool, you hate Tool. And we
I don't want to talk about who I hate
I
on
know,
a podcast.
but just to example, we can both agree that there are fans that are pretentious as fuck, and
Yes.
and it makes
it's
you
annoying.
hate the
It's
band
annoying.
even more.
Right, yes, that's
There's
totally
people that I've
true.
met that are total assholes, and that I hate their music style because I hate
I've
that music because
been
I hate that person.
I've been that
you
person
know?
when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I came to the realization
Like
that
emo
I'm
music,
being
I
an
hate
asshole.
emo music, but
Yeah,
I
me
loved
too.
it when I was 15.
Right, sure.
And now I'm just like,
You're allowed to look. We
Yeah.
all have guilty pleasures,
Right.
or even beyond that, stuff that we used to like that isn't cool, and we don't
Right.
like it anymore.
right.
You know, there were things that I liked that I don't like anymore.
Like what?
Like an example, and I don't want to shit on famous bands because it's
Right,
kind of
it's
lame.
just
Because
your flavor.
who the fuck am I?
It's just your flavor, that's it.
But when I was like 13 to 15, I really liked Green Day. Now
So do I.
but now I think they're fucking awful.
You're really.
And I listen
Huh.
back and I'm like, how did I ever think this was good?
I
So
never-
my taste completely changed.
I never thought that because all I've listened to is the old Green Day. I have not listened.
No,
to
but
the
like
new
I
stuff just 'cause-
I revisited like Dookie and
Ah.
Nimrod and was like, I hate the way he sings. I hate his voice.
it's whiny kind of like.
Just that weird like fake pretending to be British accent.
That's why I hated Blink 182.
Right. So I always
I
thought
hated that
thought
style.
of Blink as a joke,
Yeah.
which makes them tolerable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not knocking their talent.
But
or
you don't.
whatever,
But you don't like
that-
Weezer. Whereas I always liked Weezer then, and I still like Weezer now.
Well,
which is interesting because there is a tiny bit of emo twinge to his voice,
little
which
bit.
I never really thought about until you
Yeah.
mentioned it. But it's there. But for some reason, it doesn't bother me, even
Well,
though I hate
it's
emo.
What a lot of people would call I would put Weezer in post punk. Would you put them in
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's
that's fair.
some
Yeah.
what's that fucking song that what's with these homies?
Yeah, Buddy Holly.
Yeah, that song. That one. I mean, everybody
great
knows
song.
that song. It's a great song, but
Oh, by the way, rest in peace, the producer of that song, Rick Ocasek, who died the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the singer of the
I know
the
he-
Cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know he produced
A lot of stuff.
like a lot of stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
know that he produced Weezer.
Yes,
I didn't
he
know that
produced
at all.
record. Yeah.
Because what was
And if you listen to the Cars and then you listen to that, you can totally hear the influence.
Because who else did he produce? He produced fucking.
I'd have to look it up, but that's most famously he produced that
He
specific.
produced another band that I like. It's not hitting me
specific
right
Weezer
now.
album, yeah.
That's crazy. That's he's 75. And
Oh, he was 75.
What,
yeah.
what was it from?
Didn't say.
Didn't say.
Being old, an old rock star.
Ah, Christ.
Yeah.
And yet,
Anyways.
and yet Keith Richards is still here. There will be cockroaches in Keith Richards. That's it.
I smoked your uncle. Did you know that?
Oh my God. Holy, we're at an hour 20 and we got 15 in the other cut.
Okay,
That's
cool.
fucking- dude,
Is that a good place to end with
that-
my Keith Richards imitation?
Yeah, that's a perfect place to. I want him because when I know you as a person, we would both talk like John Lennon. From
Oh,
the
that's good.
Beatles.
Yeah, you do a good Beatles. That's right.
But that's
the next
is
podcast,
that John
we
Lennon
could
or is
just-
it Ringo?
It's a little of both. Yeah.
It's a little of both. I could just
Yeah.
do that general region.
Yeah, you're doing the
Can't
Dewey
do that.
Cox Beatles.
The Dewey Cox
But it worked.
Beatles.
But it works. It sounds close enough.
Oh yeah, dude. No, because this is perfect to end on because we covered your music, which I'm gonna put a link in the description to
Cool.
your old stuff, your new stuff. I'll update it as
Cool.
time goes on.
Yeah. follow me on Instagram, Gregory B. West.
Gregory B. West. Will we find?
And I'm not on Twitter. Well, I am actually, but I don't really use it.
If we follow your Instagram, we're gonna find out any show dates that happen in the future.
Yes.
And right before we go, because I have one last question, because it's something that I think you can relate to that I haven't been able to talk to anyone else about. When it comes to like booking, when you book something, usually it's you've got some time in advance.
Yeah.
To like take time off work, promote the show or whatever.
Sure.
And all that stuff. And people always will ask, "Oh, when's your next one? I'll go to the next one."
Right.
I don't fucking know the next one.
Yeah, no, that is an annoying one.
Isn't that kind of like fucked
yeah,
up?
and then the onus is on you
not a set
to
thing,
tell
like,
them when the next one's going to be. Like,
yeah,
they're just putting the ball back in your court. They're like, I'm not coming to this show, and by the way, tell me when your next one is. Actually, the one that
like I'll tell you, but it might not be convenient.
I'll tell you the one that does kind of bug me a little bit is like people that are like, you'll post it on Facebook, you'll post it on Instagram, and then they won't know about it and be like, well, you didn't text me about it. And I'll be honest, I do try to text like as many people as I can about a show because I
want them there.
Yeah, I want them there. And honestly, like as a bottom of the totem pole artist, the best way to get people there is to text them personally about it. So I'll spend like 2 to 3 hours customizing text messages to people, to get them to come to the show. That's like the best way to do it. But you won't get everybody, right?
And
but
a mailing list makes it sound like it almost sound fake, like "Hello, person." Like to whom it may concern.
For sure.
And you don't want them like, "Oh, they're not really reaching out to me personally," and all that stuff.
Because how many emails like that do we just delete?
I know, for real. It's such a it's frustrating,
Yeah,
But,
it's hard, man. Promoting is. I mean, you're hustling at it.
But that's why I'm doing this.
I see you doing it.
That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Because the whole point.
This is a helpful way to promote and do something fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And my show dates, which, you know what, I'm gonna cut it and then fucking because I'm gonna do an advertisement.
Okay,
and I'm
cool.
Gonna do something and I'll just do because I plug my own shit too.
Yeah, for sure.
Flappers Sunday, September 22nd, $10. Be there.